Chapter 920. After a short moment of hesitation, Emo Qingyun made a decision in his heart. He wasn't going to use the teleportation gate to leave. Murong Qinyu, I'll hold this old monster back. You leave this place quickly. After making a decision, Emo Qingyun stopped and turned his head to look at Shui Ying not far away. Seeing Emo Qingyun's action, Murong Qingyu's expression produced a trace of emotion. It seemed like he was surprised, disdainful, and touched. Am I very familiar with you? Why do I need you to protect me? Towards Emo Qingyun's good intentions, Murong Qinyu directly said those cold words and rejected Emo Qingyun's good intentions. Seeing Murong Qingyu's reaction, Emo Qingyun couldn't help but be startled. A bitter smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. From the looks of it, it seemed like he was thinking too much. Murong Qinyu didn't appreciate his kindness at all. Seeing this, Emo Qingyun didn't say anything else. He looked at Shui Ying with an indifferent expression. When Emo Qingyun looked at Shui Ying, he could clearly feel that Shui Ying's aura was getting stronger bit by bit. Not long ago, Shui Ying's aura was only at the early stage of the 7th level of the Divine Ability Realm. Now, it was almost at the peak of the 7th level of the Divine Ability Realm. From the looks of it, it wouldn't take long for Shui Ying to break through to the middle stage of the 7th level of the Divine Ability Realm. This can't go on. I have to beat Shui Ying back as soon as possible. Sensing Shui Ying's aura getting stronger, Emo Qingyun made a decision in his heart. He wasn't willing to delay any longer. Sealed gate. After deciding to fight Shui Ying, Emo Qingyun didn't think too much and directly used the sealed gate. From Emo Qingyun's point of view, holding back at this moment was no different from courting death. A mini light gate condensed in Emo Qingyun's hand and blasted towards Shui Ying. A mantis trying to stop a chariot, Shui Ying said disdainfully as he looked at the sealed gate that was blasted towards him. He casually waved his hand towards the sealed gate. In his opinion, with his cultivation at the 7th level of the Transcendent Realm, it would be a piece of cake for him to defeat the attack of a brat at the 8th level of the Heaven Dipper Realm. However, the result was clearly out of his expectations. The sealed door was not that easy to break. Poochie. In the face of Blood Shadow's elemental energy blasts, the door of seals directly penetrated it and blasted into Blood Shadow's body. When the sealing door entered Blood Shadow's body, it could seal his blood, chi, and soul, and begin to weaken Blood Shadow's cultivation. Not long after, Blood Shadow's aura weakened from God Power Tier 7 to God Power Tier 6. How could this be? What kind of divine ability is this? Sensing that his blood, chi, and soul were being suppressed, even the powerful Blood Shadow couldn't help but let out a panicked cry. He had cultivated for tens of thousands of years, but this was the first time he had encountered a method that could seal someone's cultivation. Miss Murong, let's do it. After unleashing the sealed door, Emo Qingyun nodded to Murong Qinyu and swung the colorless sword at Blood Shadow. Seeing Emo Qingyun's signal, Murong Qinyu frowned slightly and revealed an unwilling expression. It was as if she didn't want Emo Qingyun to have a tacit understanding with him. After pondering for a short while, she still took out a black longsword and decided to deal with Blood Shadow together with Emo Qingyun. Murong Qinyu clearly knew that now wasn't the time to throw a tantrum. Blood Shadow wasn't someone she could deal with alone. 5 origins as one. Emo Qingyun swung his sword and the colorless sword instantly blossomed with a 5-colored radiance, releasing a shocking aura. Then, a 5-colored crescent-shaped sword radiance burst out from the colorless sword and shot toward the Blood Shadow at an extremely fast speed. 5 types of origin energy at perfection. What a terrifying comprehension ability! Where did this brat come from? Could he be a reincarnated person? Seeing Emo Qingyun's attack, Murong Qinyu and Blood Shadow were extremely shocked and said a shocking sentence. After a short moment of shock, Murong Qinyu calmed down and swung his black longsword at Blood Shadow. Demonic Phoenix Sword Art. Demonic Phoenix touches water. Murong Qingyo's figure moved and arrived above Blood Shadow. He continuously stabbed with the longsword in his hand. Murong Qingyu waved the black longsword and slashed out streaks of dark sword radiance. It was like a torrential rain of pear blossoms as it blasted towards Blood Shadow. I didn't expect that after being sealed for 10,000 years, a prodigy like you would appear in the Tianhan continent. Seeing Emo Qingyun and Murong Qingyo's attack, Blood Shadow said a sentence of surprise. He also counterattacked and blasted out several palms in succession. Blood Demon Heavenly Scripture, Sacrificial Blood Golden Wheel. After Blood Shadow blasted out several palms, a blood-colored golden wheel formed in front of him and started to spin at an extremely fast speed. As the golden wheel spun at an extremely fast speed, a huge blood-colored black hole formed in the center of the golden wheel and produced a terrifying devouring power. Under this devouring power, the five-colored sword radiance was instantly swallowed up. It almost didn't have the slightest bit of resistance. Not only that, when the five-colored sword radiance was swallowed up, facing the devouring power of the blood-colored golden wheel, Murong Qingyu found it difficult to maintain his balance and began to fly towards the blood-colored golden wheel. Not good. Seeing Murong Qingyo's situation, Emo Qingyun's expression suddenly changed and became dignified. Then, Emo Qingyun's figure flashed and arrived beside Murong Qingyu. He grabbed Murong Qingyo's waist. Demonic Shadow Traceless followed like a shadow. Taking Murong Qingyu into his embrace, Emo Qingyun used all of his strength to activate Demonic Shadow Traceless and took Murong Qingyu to break away from the blood-colored golden wheel. With the help of Emo Qingyun, after breaking away from the blood-colored golden wheel, Murong Qingyu struggled free from Emo Qingyun's embrace. A faint crimson color appeared on his cheek. Seeing Emo Qingyun break away from the blood-colored golden wheel with Murong Qingyu, Xue Ying let out a bewildered sound. He sneered and said, "Brat, although you have some ability, you still can't protect this little girl." At this moment, Xue Ying seemed to have discovered that Emo Qingyun was particularly concerned about Murong Qingyu. Blood Demon Heavenly Scripture, Blood Sacrificial Golden Wheel, Devour. After discovering this trick, he controlled the blood-colored black hole to devour Murong Qingyu. He sneered and said, "Brat, if you don't want this little girl to be devoured, then you can be devoured by my blood-sacrificial golden wheel." After seeing Xue Ying's action, Murong Qingyo's charming face slightly changed. She unconsciously looked towards Emo Qingyun. When she carefully looked at Emo Qingyun, a strand of strange feeling involuntarily sprouted in her heart. It seemed familiar yet strange. In addition, what made Murong Qingyu feel disbelief was that in her heart, there seemed to be some longing for Emo Qingyun. How can this be? After this strange feeling appeared, Murong Qingyo's heart was puzzled. She didn't understand the reason. Then, Murong Qingyu silently looked at Emo Qingyun. She wanted to see what Emo Qingyun would do. Chapter 921. Old monster, you're not the only one who knows how to devour. Under Murong Qingyo's gaze, Emo Qingyun revealed a mocking smile and his expression turned cold. Devouring Gate, devour for me. After saying that, Emo Qingyun used the Devouring Gate to resist the devouring power of the bloody black hole. Then, the devouring power of the Devouring Gate and the bloody golden wheel formed a stalemate. Miss Murong, kill that old monster. Emo Qingyun used the Devouring Gate and reminded Murong Qingyu to deal with Xue Ying. All right. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Murong Qingyu nodded and charged towards Xue Ying. Xue Ying was controlling the bloody golden wheel with all his strength and had no time to deal with Murong Qingyu. Looking at the approaching Black Phoenix sword light, Xue Ying didn't dare to delay and immediately gave up on maintaining the sacrificial blood golden wheel. Blood Demon Palm. Facing Murong Qingyo's sword, Xue Ying raised his hand and blasted out a palm to dissolve Murong Qingyo's sword. When Xue Ying dissolved Murong Qingyo's sword, A lot of blood qi in his body was devoured by the devouring gate. As the blood qi was devoured, the aura emitted from Shui Ying's body weakened again. Brat, you're going too far. Thinking that he, a dignified sovereign realm expert, was actually bullied by two heaven realm juniors, Shui Ying became furious. Even if he was only at God realm level 7, this wasn't something he could accept. I light blade. Emo Qingyun didn't care about Shui Ying's anger and directly used the eye light blade. The eye light blade was extremely fast and caught Shui Ying off guard. Before Shui Ying could react, he was hit. Poochie! A brilliant blood mist burst out from the blood shadow, dyeing a small part of the sky red. Being hit by the eye light blade, Shui Ying's light weakened again and roared, "Brat, I'm going to tear you into pieces, peel your skin and pull out your tendons to vent the hatred in my heart." Demonic heart devouring. However, before blood shadow could attack Emo Qingyun, a tyrannical sound wave blasted towards him. Being struck by the sound wave, blood shadow immediately paused. He shrieked out miserably and furiously said, "You damned brats, I'm going to eat you alive." Primordial demonic sound pipa talisman. Seeing that Emo Qingyun's sound wave attack had caused great damage to the blood shadow, Emo Qingyun no longer hesitated and took out the immemorial demonic sound pipa talisman. 1. As the talisman of the primordial demonic sound pipa was summoned, waves of demonic sound waves erupted from it and bombarded the crimson shadow. Ah! After being hit by the ancient demonic pipa's talisman, Shui Ying cried out in pain again. He stopped moving forward and said in shock, This is the talisman true body of the weapon talisman sect. Kid, why do you have this on you? Could it be that you're the successor of the weapon talisman sect?" Based on Blood Shadow's understanding of the weapon talisman sect, only the successor of the weapon talisman sect could control the talisman true body of the weapon talisman sect. Thinking of this, Blood Shadow didn't want to stay any longer. He gritted his teeth and said, "Damned brat, this old man will remember you." After spitting out these venomous words, Blood Shadow turned into a bloody light and instantly disappeared into the horizon. Seeing that Blood Shadow was repelled, Emo Qingyun's expression relaxed a lot. He raised his hand and put away the primordial demonic sound pipa talisman. "Who exactly are you?" When Emo Qingyun put away the primordial demonic sound pipa talisman, Emo Qingyun revealed a puzzled expression and asked Emo Qingyun, "Why do I feel like I've met you before? Also, who is the Han Yen you mentioned before?" Hearing Murong Qingyo's words, Emo Qingyun bitterly smiled. He didn't know how to answer her. After muttering to himself for a moment, Emo Qingyun's expression became more serious. He said to Murong Qingyu, "This matter is a bit troublesome to explain. I can only tell you that you and my fiancé look exactly the same. Perhaps there is some relationship between the two of you. Let's go." Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Murong Qingyu nodded her head in understanding. She turned around and was about to leave. "Where do you want to go?" Seeing that Murong Qingyu was about to leave, Emo Qingyun instinctively took a step forward and inquired about Murong Qingyo's plans. "Stop." Seeing Emo Qingyun's action, Murong Qingyu waved the long sword in her hand and slashed out a sword ray to stop Emo Qingyun. She said indifferently, "Although I look like your fiancé, there is no relationship between you and me. If you want to use the reason that I look like your fiancé to pester me, I will kill you without hesitation." After saying that, Murong Qingyu left behind a cold and beautiful figure and disappeared in front of Emo Qingyun's eyes. Seeing Murong Qingyo's action, Emo Qingyun couldn't help but shake his head. A feeling of helplessness rose in his heart. This woman was really cold. Looking at Murong Qingyo's back, Emo Qingyun let out a deep breath and secretly sighed. The Tianhun continent is becoming more and more chaotic. It seems that I have to hurry up and increase my cultivation. First, I need to find a place to refine the Yinyang Million Thunder Fruit. After thinking like this, Emo Qingyun no longer hesitated. His figure moved and left. However, after Mo Qingyun left, he didn't go to the Fog Pond sect. After a moment, Mo Qingyun stopped in a valley. His figure moved and entered the Five Directions miniature pagoda. After entering the Five Directions miniature pagoda, Mo Qingyun took out the Yinyang Million Thunder Fruit and began to refine it. As Mo Qingyun refined the Yinyang Million Thunder Fruit, strands of berserk lightning energy were extracted from the Yinyang Million Thunder Fruit. After the lightning energy was extracted, it turned into a mysterious power and revolved around Mo Qingyun's body. As the mysterious lightning energy revolved around Mo Qingyun, the Fortune Mountain and River diagram suddenly flew out from his body and floated above him. The Fortune Mountain and River diagram flew above Mo Qingyun and emitted a six-colored light, enveloping Mo Qingyun within. Under the light of the Fortune Mountain and River diagram, the lightning energy that revolved around Mo Qingyun slowly flew to the bottom of the Fortune Mountain and River diagram. It was as if Mo Qingyun was standing on top of a cloud surrounded by lightning, waiting for rain to fall at any time. Mo Qingyun didn't care about the Fortune Mountain and River diagram flying out of his body. After all, something like this had already happened once before. Just like that, Mo Qingyun spent the rest of the time refining the Yinyang Million Thunder Fruit. A month later, under Mo Qingyun's continuous refinement, the Yinyang Million Thunder Fruit was finally refined by him. It turned into his comprehension of the origin of lightning. After refining the Yinyang Million Thunder Fruit, Mo Qingyun's comprehension of the origin of lightning had reached the 7th level. However, Mo Qingyun didn't stop cultivating. Instead, he continued to immerse himself in comprehending the origin of lightning. Although he didn't have the help of the Yinyang Million Thunder Fruit, the speed of Mo Qingyun's comprehension of the origin of lightning didn't slow down much. Another 2 months later, the origin of lightning is finally complete. Mo Qingyun, who had been in the midst of cultivation, opened his eyes with a joyful expression and broke away from his cultivation. Chapter 922. Seeing that the Creation Mountain and River painting had flown into his head, Mo Qingyun released his soul power to sense the changes in the painting. After sensing for a while, Mo Qingyun realized that the world in the Creation Mountain and River painting seemed to have become bigger than before. The increase in area wasn't the size of the world in the painting. It was the change in the ratio of the world to the real world. It was like buying a doll. The original ratio of the doll to the real person was 1:2. Now that it had become a fully simulated version, the ratio had reached 1:1. Other than that, Mo Qingyun also realized that there was a layer of silver-gray thunderclouds in the sky above the painting. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly. He was shocked. It seems that the world in the Creation Mountain and River painting is becoming more and more complete as I comprehend more and more origin energy. I wonder what the world in the Creation Mountain and River painting will eventually evolve into. After observing the Creation Mountain and River painting for a while, Mo Qingyun realized that the strange energy in the painting seemed to be faster than before. He couldn't help but feel happy. At this rate, I might be able to use the Divine Lotus General's True Body Summoning Talisman again in a year's time. Then, Mo Qingyun withdrew his soul power from the Creation Mountain and River painting with anticipation. My cultivation has been stuck at the peak of Heaven Star Border Stage 8 for a long time. It's time for me to break through to Heaven Star Border Stage 9. After sensing his own cultivation, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate anymore and started to break through his cultivation. Now that Mo Qingyun's cultivation had reached the peak of Heaven Star Border Stage 8, it wasn't difficult for him to break through to Heaven Star Border Stage 9. Boom! As Mo Qingyun's cultivation broke through, a shocking shockwave was produced outside his body and dispersed the surrounding origin energy. Following the breakthrough in his cultivation, Mo Qingyun felt that his strength had immediately increased by a large margin. Now that I'm going to kill the reckless Thunder Silver Turtle Scorpion, I should be able to do it with a few strikes. After breaking through to the 9th level of Heavenly Dipper, Mo Qingyun made a simple assessment of his strength. Next, Mo Qingyun once again entered the state of cultivation and began to stabilize the realm he had just broken through. A few days later, Mo Qingyun, who was in the middle of cultivation, was suddenly awakened by a soul fluctuation and withdrew from his cultivation. This fluctuation is the light gate martial spirit? When he sensed the spiritual undulation, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and immediately summoned his light gate martial spirit. As the light gate martial spirit was summoned, Mo Qingyun saw another mini light gate appear within the light gate martial spirit. This should be a new martial spirit ability that the light gate martial spirit had evolved. I wonder what kind of power this martial spirit has. Looking at this newly formed martial soul ability, Mo Qingyun was filled with anticipation and joy. He couldn't wait to use it. As Mo Qingyun used the new martial spirit ability, a faint light wave burst out from his body and shrouded the entire second floor of the 5 Directions Small Pagoda. After the light wave shrouded the entire second floor of the 5 Directions Small Pagoda, Mo Qingyun found that his perception and control of the second floor of the 5 Directions Small Pagoda had become stronger and easier than before. After this discovery, Mo Qingyun had a rough understanding of the abilities of his new martial soul divine ability. When this new martial spirit ability is used, it seems to transform the surrounding space into a domain space, allowing me to increase my perception and control of the surroundings. After learning about the new martial spirit ability, Mo Qingyun revealed a faint smile and muttered to himself, "If that's the case, this new martial spirit ability shall be named after the domain gate. If I had the domain gate when I fought with Blood Shadow, I would have had a 70% chance of killing him." Seeing that his strength and means had improved, Mo Qingyun revealed a cold expression and a murderous aura exuded from his body. The origin of Blood Shadow was too strong and too mysterious. If he couldn't get rid of it, Mo Qingyun would feel uneasy. This feeling was even stronger than the pressure that Li He, Yi Feiyang, and Yang Yunfan gave him. After all, he had interacted with Li He and the others in his previous life. He knew the ins and outs of Li He and the others. As the saying goes, know thyself and know thy enemy, and you will never be defeated. The unknown was the most terrifying thing. Oh right, now that my cultivation has broken through to the Heaven Star Border Stage 9, I wonder if I can cultivate the second style of the 5 Directions Heaven Breaking technique. Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly. He revealed a look of anticipation and began to sense the second style of the 5 Directions Heaven Breaking technique. After sensing for a while, a majestic memory from the 5 Directions Heaven Breaking technique poured into Mo Qingyun's mind. As the information poured into Mo Qingyun's mind, Mo Qingyun began to observe it, digesting and comprehending it bit by bit. 5 Directions Heaven Breaking technique second style. 9x9 Azure Sea Mysterious Ice Dragon Capturing Hand. After observing the cultivation method of the 9x9 Azure Sea Mysterious Ice Dragon Capturing Hands, Mo Qingyun had a rough understanding of the 9x9 Azure Sea Mysterious Ice Dragon Capturing Hands. The 9x9 Azure Sea Mysterious Ice Dragon Capturing Hands was divided into 2 different forms of attack: the water form and the ice form. The water form could ignore any kind of attack. Even if it was destroyed or chopped off, it would instantly reform and take shape. As for the ice form, it was indestructible. Ordinary attacks wouldn't be able to harm it at all. So strong. As expected of the second level of the 5 Directions Heaven Breaking technique. After reading the description of the 9x9 Azure Sea Mysterious Ice Dragon Capturing Hands, Mo Qingyun's expression became excited. He began to cultivate the 9x9 Azure Sea Mysterious Ice Dragon Capturing Hands. A shocking amount of yuan power exploded from Mo Qingyun's palm. It slowly condensed into the shape of a palm in front of him. As the Yuan power palm was formed, a perfect amount of water origin energy was also slowly added to it. Splash! However, the Yuan power palm only lasted for a moment before it collapsed. After the sound of water splashing was heard, it slowly dissipated into the air. Mo Qingyun didn't take the failure of his attempt to heart. He began to practice tirelessly. After a few days, under Mo Qingyun's continuous practice, the second move of the 5 directions heaven breaking technique, the 9x9 Azure Sea Mysterious Ice Dragon Capturing Hands, was finally cultivated to the beginner level. Water form, condense. A shocking amount of Yuan power blasted out from Mo Qingyun's hand. It carried a perfect amount of water origin energy and quickly condensed into a giant blue hand. Once the giant hand was formed, it emitted a dragon capturing power under Mo Qingyun's control. It stretched towards a giant rock that was dozens of meters tall. Ice form. The moment the giant blue hand grabbed the giant rock, Mo Qingyun changed the form of the 9x9 Azure Sea Mysterious Ice Dragon Capturing Hands. It turned into a snow-white mysterious ice giant palm that emitted a terrifying chill. Bang! At the same time, the giant rock exploded under the strength of the mysterious ice giant palm. It turned into a pile of gravel and scattered in all directions. So strong! Seeing the power of the 9x9 Azure Sea Mysterious Ice Dragon Capturing Hands, Mo Qingyun was instantly surprised and couldn't help but express his excitement. Chapter 923. In the conference hall of the Jianhua sect, several young men in ragged clothes, covered in wounds, were kneeling in the center of the hall. They looked at the middle-aged man in awe. If Mo Qingyun was here, he would definitely recognize these people. They were the disciples of the Jianhua sect who had followed Wu Xian. They did not expect that under the trampling of the mammoths, they could survive and escape back to the Jianhua sect. It had to be said that these people were really tough. The Fog Pool sect is getting bolder and bolder. How dare you kill the people of the Jianhua sect? Hearing the reports from the disciples below, the sect leader of the Jianhua sect, Guohua, looked gloomy and said angrily, "Fog Pool sect, since you don't know what's good for you, I can only tell the Sword Venerable that you are hiding in the Mingfeng mountain range. I think the Sword Venerable will be very happy after hearing this news." Sect leader, I think we don't need to report this to the Sword Venerable. One of the old men below frowned when he saw Guohua's plan. He said, Sect Master, if the people from the Sky Sword Divine Mountain take action, we won't be able to get a share of the treasures in the treasury after the Mist Pool sect is destroyed. Grand Elder Guoling, what do you think? Hearing the elder's words, Guohua felt it was reasonable and asked for his opinion. Seeing Guohua ask him, Guoling pondered for a moment and said in a deep voice, "In my opinion, we can join forces with the people of the Crimson Star Hall and the Flying Cloud League to destroy the Fog Pool sect. With the strength of the Fog Pool sect, they are definitely no match for us. At that time, the treasures in the Fog Pool sect's secret vault will be divided among the 3 sections." At this point, Guoling paused for a moment before he continued, "Not only that, if the Sword Honorable knows that we've helped him eliminate the remaining members of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain, he'll be even happier. He might even reward us. Also, with the relationship between the Jianhua sect and the Sky Sword Sacred Mountain, even if the Jianhua sect gets 10% more, the Crimson Star Hall and the Flying Cloud League will not dare to say anything." At this time, another elder sneered and said something complacent. "Haha, not bad, not bad." Guohua smiled brilliantly when he heard what Guoling and the others had said. He laughed aloud. "Great Elder Guoling is truly thoughtful. Since that's the case, we'll proceed with the arrangements." While Guohua was briefing the crowd, several people walked into the main hall. Seeing the arrival of these people, Guohua's expression changed involuntarily. He was somewhat surprised by their arrival. At this moment, the few people who walked into the main hall were the Crimson Star Hall Master, Ma Xuelin, and the Flying Cloud Alliance Master, Lu Feiyun. Palace Master Ma, Alliance Master Lu, why didn't the two of you inform us in advance so that we can welcome you in advance? Looking at the two people who were slowly approaching, Guohua put on a fake smile and smiled fakely at the two of them. Sect leader Guo, you're too kind. Ma Xuelin and Lu Feiyun waved their hands indifferently at Guohua's hypocritical behavior, and each found a seat to sit down. Cough. Sect leader Guo, this time, the two of us have come to your sect to discuss a matter. After Ma Xuelin and Lu Feiyun sat down, Ma Xuelin cleared his throat and his expression became serious. He asked, Sect leader Guo, do you still remember a few days ago when our three sects joined forces to snatch the Blood Jade mine from the Fog Pool sect? Of course I remember. It's just a small mine. Why are the two of you so nervous? Hearing Ma Xuelin's words, Guohua was puzzled. He did not understand why Ma Xuelin and Lu Feiyun would have such a reaction. In his opinion, it was a little strange for Ma Xuelin and Lu Feiyun to be so concerned about a small blood jade mine. Thinking of this, Guohua's expression became serious. He looked at Ma Xuelin and Lu Feiyun and asked, could it be that there's something wrong with the blood jade mine? Or could it be that the blood jade spiritual essence has been birthed? Blood jade spiritual essence? Hearing this, Ma Xuelin and Lu Feiyun smiled bitterly and shook their heads. It would be great if the blood jade mine really birthed blood jade spiritual essence. Ma Xuelin did not know whether to laugh or cry at Guohua's optimistic thinking. Then, Guohua did not understand. After calming down the helplessness in his heart, Ma Xuelin's expression became serious. He said in a deep voice, not long ago, one of our sect elders saw that the people who went to snatch the blood jade mine had not returned after a long time. He went to the blood jade mine to check on the situation. He found that all the disciples of our three sects had died in the blood jade mine. Not only that, we also found a large number of strange demonic beast corpses in the blood jade mine. After hearing Ma Xuelin's words, Lu Feiyun, who was sitting to the side, added with a serious expression, we suspect that those demonic beasts are the culprits that destroyed the nearby sections. Is there such a thing? Guohua's expression suddenly became serious. He realized the seriousness of the matter and remained silent. If what Ma Xuelin and Lu Feiyun said was true, then things would be troublesome. Those demonic beasts were not easy to deal with. In Guohua's memory, some of the sects that were destroyed nearby were not weaker than the Jianhua sect. However, after a short moment of silence, Guohua revealed a cold smile. He said, these demonic beasts appeared in the blood jade mine and only killed the disciples of our three sections. They did not harm the disciples of the Mist Pool sect. Do you think that these demonic beasts were raised by the Mist Pool sect? Raised by the Mist Pool sect. Hearing this, Ma Xuelin and Lu Feiyun's expressions changed. They did not understand what Guohua meant. Guohua's words clearly did not mean that he was asking them whether those demonic beasts were raised by the Mist Pool sect. He wanted to use this to put a label on the Mist Pool sect and use this opportunity to destroy the Mist Pool sect. Understanding what Guohua was hinting at, Ma Xuelin and Lu Feiyun both smiled coldly. They said, Sect leader Guo, are you planning to use this as an excuse to directly destroy the Mist Pool sect? That's right. Guohua nodded with a cold smile. A glint flashed through his eyes. He said, if the sects around the Mingfeng mountain range knew that the Mist Pool sect was responsible for the massacre of the other sects, I'm afraid that they would be extremely furious. Haha, sect leader Guo is wise. If that's the case, then the Mist Pool sect will not be able to escape this time. When the time comes, those sects will be the vanguard for us. We only need to take advantage of them. For a moment, Guohua and the other two revealed sinister smiles and began to plan. Another few days passed in the 5-directional pagoda. After Mo Qingyun's constant practice, he had finally cultivated the 9x9 Azure Sea Mysterious Ice Dragon capturing hands to the initial success level. The 9x9 Azure Sea Mysterious Ice Dragon capturing hands has been cultivated to the initial success level. I can condense 9 Azure Sea Mysterious Ice Dragon capturing hands at the same time. It's time to leave the 5-directional pagoda. Seeing the results of his cultivation, Mo Qingyun smiled with satisfaction. He thought to himself, I've already cultivated for over 3 months in the 5-directional pagoda. About 5 days have passed in the outside world. I wonder how the Mist Pool sect is doing right now? Chapter 924. 1 day later. Outside the Fog Pool sect, there were many people from the surrounding sections. These people all showed fierce expressions. In front of these people, there were 3 large groups of people. They were from the Jianhua School, the Crimson Star Palace, and the Flying Cloud League. With the arrival of these people, the sect master and the elders of the Fog Pool sect were all alarmed and came out. Everyone, why have you mobilized so many people to come to my Fog Pool sect? Looking at the people in the sky above the Fog Pool sect, Chunbin, the sect master of the Fog Pool sect, showed a solemn expression and questioned them. The actions of the people from the Jianhua school were undoubtedly a humiliation to the Fog Pool sect. Even if he had a good temper, he could not help but feel a little dissatisfied. Chunbin, Wang Quan and the other disciples of your Fog Pool sect killed Wu Xian and Li Fan from the Jianhua school. Shouldn't you give me an explanation? In response to Chunbin's questioning, Guohua did not directly talk about the demonic beast. Instead, he first questioned him about the killing of Wu Xian and the others. Guohua did this because he wanted to put a big label on Chunbin and put the Fog Pool sect in a position of being in the wrong. In this way, when they investigated the demonic beasts, they would have the absolute initiative. Hearing Guohua's words, the expressions of Chunbin and the others changed slightly. With a cold expression, Chunbin said, Guohua, the disciples of our Fog Pool sect have always been well behaved. Don't slander us. Wang Quan and the others had not had time to report that Mo Qingyun had killed Wu Xian and the others. Therefore, Chunbin did not know that Mo Qingyun had killed Wu Xian and the others. Chunbin, no wonder the disciples of your Fog Pool sect are so bold. It turns out that you connive and cover for them. Looking at Chunbin's behavior, Guohua pretended to be unhappy and angrily rebuked Chunbin. Then he said to a disciple behind him, Wu Zhirais, tell the seniors what happened that day exactly as it happened. Yes, sect master. Hearing this, Wu Zhirais responded respectfully and began to tell what had happened that day. Of course, what Wu Zhirais told was not the real situation at that time. He had changed it with some embellishments. However, all of this was no longer important at this moment. Now, for the people of the sects, they only needed to know that Wu Xian, Li Fan, and the others were killed by the disciples of the Fog Pool sect. Impossible. Wang Quan is just an ordinary inner core disciple. He absolutely has no ability to kill Wu Xian and Li Fan. Wu Xian and Li Fan were both geniuses of the Jianhua school. Chunbin had heard about them and knew their strength. Therefore, he absolutely did not believe that Wang Quan and the others would be able to kill the 2 of them with their strength. Whether it's true or not, why don't you ask the inner sect disciples to come out and confront them? Won't the truth come out then? Guohua seemed to have expected Chunbin to react this way. Seeing this, he smiled coldly and motioned for Chunbin to let Wang Quan come forward to confront him. Get Wang Quan and the others here. Upon hearing Guohua's words, Chunbin no longer hesitated and ordered someone to call Wang Quan and the rest over. Not long after, Wang Quan and the others arrived in front of Chunbin under the guidance of an elder. After Wang Quan and the others arrived, they all revealed respectful expressions and bowed to Chunbin and the others. No need to be so courteous. Chunbin waved his hand indifferently. With a serious expression, he looked at Wang Quan and the others and asked, Wang Quan, now tell us exactly what happened in the Mingfeng mountain range that day. Yes, sect leader. Hearing this, Wang Quan nodded respectfully and began to tell the whole story of what happened that day. After hearing Wang Quan's story, Chen Bin's eyebrows became serious, and a bad feeling arose in his heart. According to Wang Quan's story, although Wu Xian and the others did not die in their hands, it had something to do with them. Chen Bin, now what do you have to say? At this moment, without waiting for Chen Bin to explain, Guohua snorted coldly and questioned Chen Bin again. Hearing Guohua's words, Chen Bin frowned slightly and said with a displeased expression, Guohua, it is obvious that the disciples of your Jianhua school coveted the Yinyang Million Thunder Fruit in Mo Qingyun's hands. In the end, they were no match for Mo Qingyun and were killed instead. They brought this upon themselves. What does it have to do with the disciples of my Fog Pool sect? Speaking of this, Chen Bin's expression became even colder. He said, if you want to take revenge, go directly to Mo Qingyun. Don't show off in front of my Fog Pool sect. Wait, let's not talk about this for now. Let's talk about another matter first. Guohua did not refute Chen Bin's explanation. Instead, he sneered and said, recently, some disciples of my Jianhua school, Crimson Star Hall, and Flying Clouds League suddenly disappeared in the sect. As a result, their bodies were found in the Blood Jade mine of your Fog Pool sect. Moreover, there were a large number of demonic beasts of the alien clan in the Blood Jade mine of your Fog Pool sect. How do you explain this? Also, these demonic beasts are closely related to the culprits of the massacre of the previous sects. I hope that sect leader Chen can give us a reasonable explanation. Following Guohua's words, Li Xuelin, who was beside Guohua, added with a cold smile. Give us an explanation. Give us an explanation. Give us an explanation. After Li Xuelin's words, the people of the other sects all shouted loudly with righteous indignation. Seeing the scene in front of him, Chen Bin's expression immediately became serious. He knew that today's matter would be difficult to resolve. While Chen Bin's expression was troubled and he didn't know how to answer, Guohua's lips curled up slightly. He sneered, sect leader Chen, if this old man's guess is correct, that Mo Qingyun is very likely a spy sent by the alien clan. Your Fog Pool sect colluded with the alien clan to harm your own people on the Tianhan continent. This is not a small crime. Wang Quan, tell us quickly. Where is that Mo Qingyun? Hearing Guohua's words, an elder of the Fog Pool sect questioned Wang Quan with a gloomy expression. In his opinion, the key to this matter was Mo Qingyun. As long as they found Mo Qingyun, this matter would be easily resolved. I don't know. Hearing the elder's words, Wang Quan revealed an innocent expression and shook his head. You don't know? Hearing this, the elder's face immediately darkened. He raised his hand and grabbed Wang Quan's neck. He said angrily, Are you going to tell us or not? If you don't tell us, do you believe that this old man won't kill you right now? Wang Quan, hurry up and tell us where Mo Qingyun is. That's right. Can you bear to let the Fog Pool sect fall into eternal damnation because of an outsider? For a moment, the other elders on the side all tried to persuade Wang Quan. Sect leader, elders, I really don't know. Looking at Chen Bin and the others in front of him, Wang Quan revealed a helpless expression and spoke with difficulty. Elder Chen Yubang, Mo Qingyun is here. While everyone was questioning Wang Quan, Sun Wana revealed an excited expression and pointed at a figure not far away. Chapter 925. Hearing Sun Wana's words, Chen Bin and others looked in the direction of Mo Qingyun. They saw a young man in white flying towards the Fog Pool sect with an indifferent expression. He was not frightened by the situation in front of him at all. In this way, Mo Qingyun walked into the gate of the Fog Pool sect step by step under everyone's gazes. Walking into the Fog Pool sect, Mo Qingyun glanced around the Fog Pool sect and soon found Wang Quan in the crowd. Brother Mo, why did you come to the Fog Pool sect? Seeing Mo Qingyun walk to him, Wang Quan showed an anxious expression and asked in a worried tone. The meaning of Wang Quan's words could not be more obvious. He was obviously implying that Emo Qingyun should not have come to the Fog Pool sect. With Emo Qingyun's intelligence, he naturally understood the hidden meaning of Wang Quan's words. He smiled carelessly and said, "Brother Wang, didn't you invite me to the Fog Pool sect to have a chat? Now that I'm in the Fog Pool sect, you don't welcome me?" Alas, hearing Emo Qingyun's words, which pretended to be puzzled, Wang Quan suddenly showed a helpless expression. He shook his head and did not know what to say. In his opinion, in the current situation, Emo Qingyun suddenly came to the Fog Pool sect, which was simply like a lamb in a tiger's mouth. At this moment, when Wang Quan was anxious and worried, Chen Yubong's expression became colder. He looked at Emo Qingyun and said coldly, "Boy, you are Emo Qingyun? You killed Wu Xian and Li Fan of the Jianhua sect?" "Yes." In response to Chen Yubong's question, Emo Qingyun did not hide and nodded calmly. "Very good." Seeing that Emo Qingyun did not open his mouth to explain, Chen Yubong nodded with satisfaction. He raised his hand to grab Emo Qingyun's shoulder and said, "Sect Leader Guo, now I will hand this boy over to you. You can do whatever you want to him." Judging from Chen Yubong's actions, he seemed to be planning to sacrifice Emo Qingyun to ensure the safety of the Mist Pool sect. However, to everyone's surprise, when Chen Yubong raised his hand to grab Emo Qingyun easily dodged it. After seeing this scene, not only was Chen Yubong surprised, but the others were also surprised. With Emo Qingyun's Heaven Dipper 9th level cultivation, he was actually able to evade the capture of Chen Yubong, who was at the 4th level of the Transcendent Spirit Art. This was truly unexpected. After a brief moment of surprise, Chen Yubong's face darkened. He looked at Emo Qingyun and said angrily, "Brat, you actually dare to hide. Could it be that you don't want to admit your mistake?" Chen Yubong felt that Emo Qingyun's actions just now had made him lose face. "Could it be that I'm supposed to stand there and allow you to bully me?" In response to Chen Yubong's question, Emo Qingyun looked at him with disgust and said, "Moreover, even if I did make a mistake, it doesn't seem to be your turn to care, right? Am I a disciple of your Mist Pool sect?" Under Emo Qingyun's question, Chen Yubong was at a loss for words. He didn't know how to refute Emo Qingyun. Without waiting for Chen Yubong to speak, Emo Qingyun revealed a mocking expression and said, "Also, I killed a disciple of the Jianhua sect. Even if someone wants to take revenge on me, it should be someone from the Jianhua sect. Since when is it your turn, a Mist Pool sect elder, to poke your nose into other people's business?" At this point, Emo Qingyun paused for a moment and scanned the crowd of the Mist Pool sect. He continued, "No wonder the Mist Pool sect is bullied by other sections. It's because they have a dog-like elder like you. Others just came to scare you, and you're already wagging your tail and licking their boot. Kid, you're looking to die." Hearing Emo Qingyun's humiliating words, Chen Yubong was immediately enraged. He wanted to kill Emo Qingyun as soon as possible. "Elder Yubong, stay your hand." Chen Bin frowned slightly when he saw Chen Yubong's actions. He was rather displeased with Chen Yubong's actions, so he raised his hand to stop him. Emo Qingyun was right. He wasn't a disciple of the Mist Pool sect, so what right did Chen Yubong have to capture him? Moreover, Emo Qingyun had killed a disciple of the Jianhua sect. What did that have to do with the Mist Pool sect? Since it had nothing to do with the Mist Pool sect, why did Chen Yubong help Guohua capture Emo Qingyun? Wasn't that just poking his nose into other people's business? Yes. Seeing that his actions were stopped by Chen Bin, Chen Yubong nodded unwillingly. He looked coldly at Emo Qingyun and walked aside. After stopping Chen Yubong's actions, Chen Bin saluted Emo Qingyun with folded hands and said apologetically, "Little friend Emo, I apologize on behalf of Elder Yubong for his reckless actions just now. From now on, our Mist Pool sect will never interfere in the affairs between you and the Jianhua sect." Good. Emo Qingyun nodded with satisfaction at Chen Bin's actions. He agreed with Chen Bin's actions. From his standpoint, it was already very commendable that he could do this. He was more than 100 times better than Chen Yubong. Chen Bin, you are so cunning. Seeing Chen Bin's actions, Guohua frowned slightly. He didn't expect that Emo Qingyun would appear out of nowhere. His real purpose was not to kill Emo Qingyun and avenge Wu Xian and the others. His main purpose was to destroy the Mist Pool sect and plunder the treasures in the Mist Pool sect's treasury. Ha ha! After a short silence, Guohua suddenly raised his head and laughed loudly. He looked at Chen Bin and said sarcastically, Chen Bin, you are so cunning. Do you think that you can cover up the crimes of your Mist Pool sect by randomly finding a boy at the 9th level of the Celestial Dipper realm to be the scapegoat? After Guohua said this, he winked at Li Xuelin and Chen Bin, indicating that they should fan the flames. That's right. Chen Bin, you are so despicable and shameless. You want to cover it up with this. You are obviously guilty. Friends from all sects, the Mist Pool sect is so cunning. Let's destroy them together. There is no need to talk nonsense with them. Destroy the Mist Pool sect and return peace to our Mingfeng mountain range. For a moment, all kinds of words condemning the Mist Pool sect came out from the mouths of the surrounding people. Then, Guohua and the others didn't give Chen Bin a chance to explain. They directly led people to attack the Mist Pool sect. It seems that Guohua and the others are determined to destroy our Mist Pool sect today. Looking at the aggressive Guohua and the others, Chen Bin's expression became serious. He understood the real intention of Guohua and the others. He knew very well that with the current strength of the Mist Pool sect, they couldn't resist the joint attack of Guohua and the others. Soon, the people from all sects, led by Guohua, attacked Chen Bin and the others of the Mist Pool sect. Then, Emo Qingyun didn't know whether to laugh or cry. As the real culprit who killed Wu Xian and the others, he was directly ignored by everyone. Was he really an unlucky scapegoat in everyone's mind, a boy who could be ignored? At this moment, when Emo Qingyun smiled bitterly about this, something extremely ironic happened. Chen Yubong, the elder of the Mist Pool sect, didn't fight back when the Mist Pool sect was attacked by other sections. Instead, he attacked Emo Qingyun with his palm. Boy, go to hell. Chen Yubong showed a sinister expression. After he attacked Emo Qingyun with his palm burst out with amazing yuanli. Chapter 926. Elder Chen Yubong, please don't. Elder Yubong, please have mercy. Seeing Chen Yubong's actions, Wang Quan and the rest became anxious and quickly begged Chen Yubong. However, Chen Yubong chose to ignore his pleas. Instead, his attacks became even more ruthless. I think you're the one who's courting death. Seeing that Chen Yubong attacked him again, Emo Qingyun's face darkened and a murderous aura exuded from his body. Even a clay figurine had a temper, let alone Emo Qingyun. Considering that Chen Yubong was an elder of the Fog Pool sect, Emo Qingyun didn't want to be calculative with him for his previous offensive actions. However, Chen Yubong didn't know what was good for him and attacked Emo Qingyun again and again. This had already touched Emo Qingyun's bottom line. 5 origins as one. Emo Qingyun waved the colorless sword and released a 5-colored radiance. It turned into a 5-colored sword radiance and swept towards Chen Yubong. Puchi. Facing the powerful attack of the 5-colored sword radiance, the elemental energy giant palm didn't have any power to resist. It was instantly split open and dissipated between heaven and earth. After destroying the elemental energy giant palm, the 5-colored sword radiance's attack speed didn't decrease and continued to attack Chen Yubong. Chen Yubong obviously didn't expect that his all-out attack would be so easily defeated by Emo Qingyun. Therefore, he didn't have time to react to the 5-colored sword radiance's attack and was directly hit. Puchi. Under the attack of the 5-colored sword radiance, a huge wound appeared on Chen Yubong's body. A large amount of blood gushed out and dyed his clothes red in the blink of an eye. How could this be? Looking at the huge wound on his chest, Chen Yubong widened his eyes and revealed an expression of disbelief. No matter how he thought about it, he couldn't understand how a Heaven Dipper 9th stage brat could have such terrifying strength. Emo Qingyun didn't care about Chen Yubong's shock. He held the colorless sword and attacked Chen Yubong again. In the blink of an eye, Emo Qingyun arrived in front of Chen Yubong and swung his sword at his throat. With a slash of his sword, a 5-colored sword light with an imposing aura instantly approached Chen Yubong. Kuei Wood Spirit Palm, Spring for Withered Trees. Facing Emo Qingyun's sword, Chen Yubong didn't dare to hesitate. He immediately blasted out a palm in an attempt to neutralize Emo Qingyun's sword. After Chen Yubong blasted out a palm strike, waves of dark green essence energy formed a dark green armor around his body. Pucci. However, under Emo Qingyun's sword, the green armor around Chen Yubong's body was instantly shattered and shattered. After the 5-colored sword radiance destroyed the turquoise armor, it swept across Chen Yubong's neck, leaving behind a bright red sword mark. Puff! A bright red mist of blood erupted from Chen Yubong's neck, dyeing the surrounding heaven and earth red. How is this possible? Following that, Chen Yubong revealed an unwilling expression and his body fell straight to the ground. Seeing Emo Qingyun killing Chen Yubong, the surrounding people were shocked. They couldn't believe that this was real. An expert at the 4th level of the Transcendent God Realm was actually insta-killed by a Heaven Dipper Stage 9 expert in a single move. Was there anything more ridiculous than this? Following that, these people distanced themselves from Emo Qingyun. They were worried that Emo Qingyun would attack them. While these people were avoiding Emo Qingyun, Chun Bin and the rest, who were fighting against Guohua and the rest, also saw the situation. Sect Master, what should we do now? Should we take revenge for Elder Yubong? Seeing Emo Qingyun killing Chen Yubong, an elder of the Fog Pool sect asked Chen Bin for his opinion with a serious expression. Hearing the elder's words, Chen Bin glanced at Emo Qingyun and said in a deep voice, "Don't bother about Emo Qingyun. Chen Yubong was killed by him. He brought this upon himself. Also, although Emo Qingyun's cultivation isn't high, his strength is indeed terrifying. It's not suitable for us to make enemies with him now." Hearing Chen Bin's words, the elder of the Fog Pool sect nodded and agreed with Chen Bin's words. If Chen Yubong didn't attack Emo Qingyun, then Emo Qingyun wouldn't attack him and naturally wouldn't kill him. After killing Chen Yubong, Emo Qingyun didn't stop. With a flash, he arrived beside Wang Quan and the rest. Although Emo Qingyun was rather displeased with Chen Yubong's actions, he wouldn't vent his anger on the others of the Fog Pool sect. For example, when Emo Qingyun first arrived at the Fog Pool sect, Wang Quan's anxious and worried actions and Chen Bin's actions of stopping Chen Yubong still left a good impression on him. "Follow me. I'll lead you out of here." After arriving beside Wang Quan and the others, Emo Qingyun instructed them before beginning to kill the people from the Jianhua sect and the other sections. Afterwards, Wang Quan and the others gradually retreated from the Fog Pool sect under Emo Qingyun's sweeping attack. Perhaps it was because Emo Qingyun's actions were too shocking, but very soon, the people from the various sects noticed him. They all became furious. This was because they discovered that every time Emo Qingyun attacked, he would take the lives of several people. In that short moment, they discovered that many of their sect's disciples had already been killed by Emo Qingyun. "Damn brat, you're courting death." After discovering this, the elders from the various sects all revealed furious expressions and attacked Emo Qingyun furiously. "All of you, back off a little." Seeing the elders from the various sects attack, Emo Qingyun's expression became more serious as he instructed Wang Quan and the others. Immediately after, Emo Qingyun leaped up and waved the colorless sword in his hand, spinning 360 degrees in the air. 5 origins as one. As Emo Qingyun swung his sword, the colorless sword instantly emitted a 5-colored radiance. It exploded into a 5-colored sword radiance that spread out like a wave. Bang bang bang, under Emo Qingyun's sword, the furious attacks of the elders from the various sects were instantly defeated. After defeating the furious attacks of the elders from the various sects, the circular sword radiance's attack speed didn't decrease at all. It continued to sweep towards the elders from the various sections. Puff puff puff, faced with the bombardment of the 5-colored circular sword radiance, the elders from the various sects were instantly sent flying. They fell to the ground with heavy injuries. With just one move, he neutralized the combined attack of more than 10 elders from the various sections. On top of that, he also heavily injured and sent them flying. After witnessing this scene, the surrounding crowd was instantly dumbfounded. They even forgot to attack each other. Right now, Emo Qingyun's performance had completely shocked their souls. Too strong. Is this brat really in the Heaven Star Border Stage 9 cultivation? With just one move, he heavily injured more than 10 Transcendent Realm experts. Even a level 5 Transcendent Realm expert can't do that. Could it be that this brat is a 6-kill prodigy? It seems like even the prodigies from the 8 great sacred mountains aren't at his level. Hiss. Monstrous, too monstrous. At this moment, some of the smaller sects leaders, elders, and disciples looked at Emo Qingyun with reverence. They knew that with their own strength, they definitely wouldn't be able to withstand Emo Qingyun's sword. Chapter 9:27. As these people maintained their distance from Emo Qingyun, a moment later, a strange scene appeared. No one dared to approach within a few hundred meters of Emo Qingyun. All of them looked at Emo Qingyun with respect. Over 100 Transcendent Realm experts were frightened by a Heaven Star Border Stage 9 cultivator. This scene was a little comical and ironic. Where did this Emo Qingyun come from? He actually has such a shocking cultivation. Looking at Emo Qingyun in the middle of the empty space, Chen Bin was shocked. He was very curious about Emo Qingyun's identity. He had seen many geniuses. He was even lucky enough to meet some of the geniuses from the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. But among the people he knew, none of them had talent that could compare with Emo Qingyun. Even the geniuses from the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain couldn't compare with Emo Qingyun. How could Chen Bin not be shocked? Sect Master, what should we do now? Looking at this strange scene, the elders of the Fog Pool sect showed serious expressions and asked Chen Bin for his plan. Hearing the elders' question, Chen Bin showed a serious expression and said, "Everyone, don't act rashly. Observe the situation first. If there is a chance, we will try our best to help Emo Qingyun." From the situation just now, Chen Bin could see that Emo Qingyun had a good relationship with Wang Quan and the rest. Chen Bin thought that if he could use this relationship to pull Emo Qingyun into the Fog Pool sect, it would definitely be a joyous occasion. Yes. Hearing Chen Bin's words, the elders didn't understand, but they still nodded their heads. Brother Emo is so strong. Seeing Emo Qingyun heavily injuring over a dozen Transcendent Realm experts with one sword, Wang Quan was stunned. He felt that this scene was a little unbelievable. This was more than a dozen Transcendent Realm experts, not just Heaven Dipper Realm experts. Facing such a powerful lineup, even a level 5 Transcendent Realm expert would have to avoid the sharpness of their blade. But what about Emo Qingyun? Didn't that mean that Emo Qingyun was stronger than a 5th-level Transcendent Realm cultivator? At this moment, Sun Wanner and the others' feelings were similar to Wang Quan's. They were all greatly shocked. Who is he? Looking at Emo Qingyun, who was not far away from her, Song Tsuemei's eyes rippled and a trace of curiosity appeared on her face. This brat. Looking at Emo Qingyun in the middle of the open space, Guohua and the others gritted their teeth, wishing they could skin Emo Qingyun alive. In just a short period of time, More than 10 disciples from the Jianhua sect had died under Mo Qingyun's sword. However, even though Guohua was furious, he did not dare to act rashly. There was nothing he could do about it. The feeling Mo Qingyun gave him was too mysterious. He couldn't help but feel apprehensive about Mo Qingyun's origins. How terrifying would a force that could nurture a genius like Mo Qingyun be? However, Guohua and the others had never imagined that Mo Qingyun would come looking for trouble with them instead when they didn't go looking for trouble with him. "Are you guys done looking?" Glancing at the people around him, Mo Qingyun's tone was calm. His expression turned cold as he said, "If you want to make a move, then hurry up and come at me. I'm still waiting here. If you don't dare to make a move, then scram immediately." Crazy. Too crazy. This was insufferably crazy. A Heaven Star Border Stage 9 brat dared to challenge more than 100 Transcendent Realm cultivators. This could not be described as crazy. If they hadn't seen Mo Qingyun's previous attack, they would have thought that Mo Qingyun was crazy. However, after witnessing Mo Qingyun's strength and hearing his words, not only did they not feel that he was being arrogant, but they also unconsciously felt that he was fearless. In their eyes, Mo Qingyun must have some powerful trump card to dare to make such a move. "Why aren't you guys saying anything?" Seeing that there was still no reaction from the crowd, Mo Qingyun scanned the crowd and pointed at the sect leader of a small sect. "You scram over here." No. I'm just passing by." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the sect leader's face turned pale. He waved his hands in fear and kept backing away. Seeing this person's reaction, Mo Qingyun's lips curled into a disdainful smile. He said coldly, "Since you're just passing by, then scram." Yes. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, this person's face was filled with fear. He quickly left with the inner sect disciples. Then, Mo Qingyun scanned the crowd again. Under Mo Qingyun's cold gaze, people kept leaving. Seeing Mo Qingyun's domineering and mighty actions, the surrounding fog pool sect disciples looked at him with admiration. Just one look and he scared away a Transcendent Realm expert. So domineering, so mighty. If I can be so domineering for once in my life, I wouldn't have lived in vain. So cool. This is a real man. I want to have babies with him. For a moment, the fog pool sect disciples forgot about their fear. Their eyes were filled with fanaticism. They watched as the people from the various sects left in fear under the pressure of Mo Qingyun's aura. Guohua, Li Xuelin, and Lu Feiyun's faces became more and more unsightly. Their bodies were trembling. A perfect plan, actually because of a Heavenly Dipper realm cultivation base brat, led to the failure immediately. This wasn't something they could accept. They had to stop Mo Qingyun and teach him a lesson, even if it would anger the power behind Mo Qingyun. Of course, other than that, Guohua and the others were also worried that today's matter would be spread. They didn't want others to know that they were frightened by a Heaven Star Border Realm Junior, even though they had almost 100 Transcendent Realm experts. They wouldn't have the face to stay in Mingfeng Mountain Range anymore. This was too embarrassing. Thinking of this, Guohua couldn't hold back anymore. He moved and attacked Mo Qingyun. "Brat, since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." Guohua held a golden mace in his hand. He swung out a totem pole like staff light and smashed it towards Mo Qingyun. When Guohua attacked, Li Xuelin and Lu Feiyun didn't hesitate either. They followed closely behind and attacked Mo Qingyun. Li Xuelin held a slender black whip in his hand. With a swing, almost 100 whip shadows appeared and instantly enveloped Mo Qingyun. As for Lu Feiyun, he held 2 separation hooks and slashed out a few times at an extremely fast speed. He slashed out a few blade lights that were almost undetectable. Good timing. Facing Guohua and the other two's attacks, Mo Qingyun didn't show any fear. Instead, he emitted a strong fighting spirit. Chapter 928. Emo Qingyun's expression turned serious when he saw the rapidly approaching staff radiance, whip radiance, and saber radiance. He tightened his grip on the colorless sword. At this moment, the 6 origins of metal, wood, water, fire, earth, and wind were unleashed by him without holding back. The colorless sword shone with 6 brilliant colors. 6 origins in one break. Emo Qingyun waved the colorless sword and slashed out a 6-colored sword radiance in an arc. It met the staff radiance, whip radiance, and saber radiance at an extremely fast speed. 6 types of perfected origin energies. Everyone's expression changed when they saw the 6-colored sword radiance slashed out by Emo Qingyun. They felt that this scene was so unreal. Under normal circumstances, if a person could comprehend one origin of perfection when he was in the Heaven Star realm, he would be considered a genius. If a person could comprehend 2 origins of perfection when he was in the Heaven Star realm, he would be considered a rare genius. As for comprehending 3 origins of perfection when he was in the Heaven Star realm, that was just a rumor. But now, Emo Qingyun had comprehended 6 types of perfect source powers. Just how freakish was this? How could everyone not be shocked? This Emo Qingyun is really a peerless genius. Chen Bin could not help but sigh when he saw Emo Qingyun wielding the colorless sword and slashing out 6-colored sword radiance. This was the first time he had seen someone with talent as great as Emo Qingyun's. Chi, after the 6-colored sword radiance clashed with the staff radiance, whip radiance, and saber radiance, there was an ear-piercing sound as if a steel saw was sawing on a piece of iron. At the point where the 6-colored sword radiance clashed with the staff radiance, whip radiance, and saber radiance, there was an arc of origin energy chi wave that caused the surrounding space to distort. Clap, 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 dazzling flames rained down from the sky when the 6-colored sword radiance, staff radiance, whip radiance, and saber radiance collided with each other. When the flames landed on the ground, it immediately turned the ground into a sea of fire. The surrounding people quickly retreated. At the same time, there seemed to be a stalemate between Emo Qingyun and Guohua's trio. But even so, it still shocked the surrounding people quite a bit, and they all felt that it was hard to believe. A Heaven Dipper realm cultivator forcefully withstanding the attacks of 3 God Tier 6 experts. This kind of ability could be said to be unprecedented. He actually took it. Seeing that Emo Qingyun wasn't at a disadvantage even after taking on the combined attacks of Guohua and the other 2, Chen Bin unconsciously clenched his fists and said in shock, "Where did this Emo Qingyun come from? What kind of strength could nurture such a genius? Is this his full strength?" At this moment, Chen Bin's heart was filled with doubt. Emo Qingyun had brought him too many surprises. Too strong. Brother Emo is really too strong. Is this the strength a Heaven Star border cultivator should have? Yes. We're all in the 9th level of Heaven Dipper. Why is the difference so big? This is too much of a blow. I always thought that I was a genius, but now I realize that I'm just an idiot. Looking at the domineering Emo Qingyun, even Wang Quan was shocked, and a bitter smile appeared on his face. Compared to the shock of the others, Guohua and the other 2 were undoubtedly more shocked. How is this possible? This brat is only in the 9th level of Heaven Dipper realm. How can he block our combined attacks? Seeing that their combined attacks were easily blocked by Emo Qingyun, Guohua's face was filled with disbelief. He couldn't accept the reality in front of him. Li Xuelin and the other 2 by the side were also shocked, and they found it hard to believe. Blocked your attacks? Hearing Guohua's words, Emo Qingyun smiled faintly and replied, "You guys think too highly of yourselves. If I want to defeat you, I only need one move." "Brat, don't be so arrogant." Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Li Xuelin's face darkened, and he waved the long whip in his hand wildly. In an instant, the shadows of the whip crisscrossed, and like a black net that covered the sky, it fell towards Emo Qingyun. Facing Li Xuelin's all-out attack, Emo Qingyun's lips curled up slightly, and he swung his sword towards the sky. 7 essences as one, break. Silver, cyan, green, blue, yellow, crimson, and gold elemental energy of 7 different colors gushed out from the colorless sword, turning into a 7-colored sword light, and shot towards the shadows of the whip in the sky. Boom, boom, boom. After the 7-colored sword light was formed, a shocking sound of thunder could be heard, and it made people feel fear from the bottom of their hearts. Puft, puft, puft. Under the impact of the 7-colored sword light, the shadows of the whip in the sky were like the clouds parting to reveal the moon. They were instantly destroyed and dissipated by the 7-colored sword light. After destroying the shadows of the whip, Emo Qingyun turned around and swung the colorless sword in his hand again, and a 7-colored half-moon sword light was sent towards Guohua and the other 2. As soon as the 7-colored half-moon sword light appeared, it closed in on Guohua and the other 2 with a thunderous force. Theurgy change. Looking at the rapidly approaching sword light, Guohua and the other 2 had no time to think, and they immediately entered the theurgy change state. Sky Wolf Sky Breaking Staff. Demon Wolf swallows the sun. After entering the theurgy change state, Guohua directly turned into a tall silver wolf, and he swung his mace down fiercely. As he swung the mace, it suddenly shone brightly, and a cyan wolf shadow burst out, opening its mouth wide to pounce on the 7-colored half-moon sword light. Heavenly Dipper Demon Trapping Whip. Thunder Dipper Demon Trapping. Under the swing of Li Xuelin's black whip, the long whip suddenly bloomed with silver light, and silver shadows of the whip appeared one after another. These shadows of the whip interlocked, and like hula hoops, they enveloped the 7-colored half-moon sword light. Lunar Shadow Soul Kill Traceless Blade. The 2 separation hooks in his hands spun rapidly, dazzling the onlookers, and creating a silver hook shadow. Once the silver hook shadow formed, it formed a silver hook dragon, and flew towards the 7-colored half-moon sword light. Bang bang bang. Soon, the 7-colored half-moon sword light, the cyan wolf mace shadow, the silver thunder demon trapping ring, and the silver hook dragon collided with each other forcefully, and there was a loud explosion. With this collision, the sky changed color, the earth shook, and the mountains shook. The array outside the Misty Pool Sex Mountain Gate was directly shattered by the impact. However, what happened next made everyone feel disbelief. Guohua and the other 2's full-force attack was instantly destroyed by the 7-colored half-moon sword light. So strong. Seeing that their combined attack was unable to block the 7-colored half-moon sword light, Guohua and the other 2's faces were filled with shock. However, before they could recover from their shock, a frightening force smashed into their chests. Puff. Under the bombardment of the 7-colored half-moon sword light, even with Guohua and the other 2's cultivation, they were immediately heavily injured, and they spat out blood. Then, Guohua and the other 2 fell to the ground in a sorry state. Their hair was messy, their clothes were tattered, and their faces were as pale as snow. They no longer had the high-spirited attitude they had before. Run! After being hit by the 7-colored half-moon sword light, a strong sense of fear grew in their hearts. Then, Guohua and the other 2 did not hesitate. They turned around and jumped up, ready to run for their lives. Chapter 929. Do you think you can escape? Seeing Guohua and the other 2's actions, Emo Qingyun's expression turned cold. He raised his hand to grab the air and shouted, "Get back here!" Under Emo Qingyun's grab, the sky suddenly changed color. A shocking amount of origin energy gathered crazily and turned into 3 huge blue palms, grabbing at Guohua and the other 2. Seeing the 3 huge blue palms approaching rapidly, Guohua and the other 2 were shocked. They raised their hands to attack the huge blue palms. Puff! Under Guohua and the other 2's attack, the huge blue palms were instantly defeated and turned into balls of mist, floating in the air. Seeing this, Guohua and the other 2's expressions relaxed, and the fear in their hearts eased a little. Fortunately, Emo Qingyun's attack was not strong. Under the three's attack, it was easily defeated. However, before Guohua and the other two could calm down, their faces turned pale. They saw that the huge blue palms that were defeated by them reformed in the blink of an eye and continued to grab at them. Under the grasp of the blue palm, Guohua and the other two were directly caught and held tightly by the blue palm. Ice form. Seeing that the Azure Sea mysterious ice dragon capturing hands had caught Guohua and the other two, Mo Qingyun began to change their forms, turning them into three huge mysterious ice palms. Soon, the three huge blue palms turned into snow-colored ice palms, emitting a bone-chilling coldness. Under the corrosion of the coldness, Guohua and the other two's clothes and hair quickly formed a layer of frost. Not only that, but under the corrosion of the coldness, the three of them could not even use their origin energy. Then, under everyone's gaze, Guohua and the other two were caught by the three huge mysterious ice palms. Bang! Caught by the huge mysterious ice palms, Guohua and the other two were violently smashed to the ground, making a loud noise. At the same time, the ground shook violently. Huge cracks appeared in the ground and a sandstorm like a hurricane was set off. After a while, the sandstorm dissipated, revealing Guohua and the other two's figures. Guohua and the other two were kneeling on the ground in a sorry state. Under the violent impact, their legs seemed to have been completely crippled. Silence. Incomparable silence. At this moment, everyone in the surroundings held their breaths, not daring to make the slightest sound for fear of disturbing the young man in the center of the open space. They did not expect that Guohua and the other two would not be able to put up any resistance in front of him, even with their cultivation bases. If they hadn't seen this scene with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed it even if they were beaten to death. A cultivator at the 9th level of Heavenly Dipper was actually this strong? What a terrifying technique! Chen Bin's heart trembled, and his body trembled uncontrollably. He couldn't believe that this was real. This scene was too shocking, so shocking that even he, who had seen Supreme Being experts before, was about to lose control of his mind. 7 kills? 8 kills? 9 heavens? Or the 10 absolutes? Recalling the strength that Mo Qingyun had just displayed, Chen Bin made another assessment of Mo Qingyun's strength. However, this time, he could no longer tell what level Mo Qingyun's strength was at. Brother Mo. He crippled 3 experts at the 6th level of the God Realm in one move? It seems like it. This is too unbelievable. How can a 9th level of the Heaven Dipper realm be this strong? Wang Quan and the rest were shocked. They didn't know how to express how shocked they were at this moment. A gentle breeze blew past, stirring up a cloud of dust, adding to the murderous aura. Under the gentle breeze, Mo Qingyun's clothes fluttered gently as he walked towards Guohua and the other two. Mo Qingyun walked closer and closer, and with every step he took, Guohua and the other two's faces trembled. At this moment, Guohua and the other two's hearts were being ravaged. They would rather be killed by Mo Qingyun's sword than watch death approach them step by step. I can't take it anymore. Finally, Lu Feiyun couldn't take it anymore and let out a crazed scream. Then, Lu Feiyun charged towards Mo Qingyun with disheveled hair, as if he wanted to fight to the death with Mo Qingyun. Facing Lu Feiyun's attack, Mo Qingyun didn't even look at him as he swung his sword at him. A 7-colored sword light appeared out of thin air and instantly slashed across Lu Feiyun's neck, leaving behind a thin line of blood. Chi, blood flowed out from Lu Feiyun's neck, dyeing his clothes and the ground red. Lu Feiyun held his neck and stared at Mo Qingyun with his eyes wide open. He fell to the ground before he could finish his sentence. Seeing Lu Feiyun being killed by Mo Qingyun, Guohua and Li Xuelin's expressions trembled. Li Xuelin was even more panicked as he begged, Mo Qingyun, we were wrong. Can you give us a chance to change? A chance to change? Hearing Li Xuelin's words, Mo Qingyun shook his head and said coldly, It's too late. You're already a dead man from the moment you joined forces with Guohua. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished his words, he pointed his finger at Li Xuelin and released a shocking amount of yuan energy. Then, a huge black finger the size of a small mountain descended from the sky and headed towards Li Xuelin. Faced with the huge black finger, Li Xuelin naturally wouldn't wait for his death. He quickly defended himself. However, his defense was like a cup of water on a burning cart of firewood. It didn't have any effect and he was crushed to death by the huge black finger. Seeing that Li Xuelin was killed, Guohua trembled even more. He looked at Mo Qingyun in panic and said, Mo Qingyun, other than being the sect leader of Jianhua sect, I'm also the external affairs deacon of Sky Sword Sacred Mountain. If you dare to touch me, Sky Sword Sacred Mountain will not let you off. As soon as Guohua said this, he clearly sensed that the killing intent emanating from Mo Qingyun's body had intensified slightly. Trying to use Sky Sword Sacred Mountain to scare me? I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you. In response to Guohua's threatening words, Mo Qingyun curled his lips in disdain and said coldly, not to mention a mere external affairs deacon like you, I've even killed and crippled one of Li He's lineal disciples. So, you'd better accept your death obediently. The colorless sword suddenly bloomed with light, and a seven-colored sword light burst out, bombarding Guohua. Looking at the rapidly approaching seven-colored sword radiance, Guohua was shocked and his face turned as pale as a sheet of paper. At the same time, Guohua took out his longsword and swung it at the seven-colored sword radiance. He hoped that a miracle would happen and that he would be able to destroy the seven-colored sword radiance with one strike. However, even with the three of them working together, they were unable to destroy the seven-colored sword radiance. Naturally, it was impossible for him to do it alone. Puff. Chapter 930. After killing Guohua and the other two, Mo Qingyun raised his head and scanned the surroundings. Under Mo Qingyun's gaze, the surrounding people felt a wave of fear and an intense chill rose in their hearts. At this moment, they were all worried about whether or not Mo Qingyun would make a move on them. Scram! A cold voice came from Mo Qingyun's mouth, carrying with it a strand of spiritual energy. After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, everyone's faces paled and an intense sense of fear rose in their hearts. Following this, the people from the various sects did not dare to stay any longer. They all turned around and left the Mist Pond sect. Seeing everyone leave the Mist Pond sect, Chen Bin muttered to himself for a moment before quickly walking towards Mo Qingyun. He said, "Little friend Mo, I apologize on behalf of Elder Qin Yubong. Please come to the sect and let me apologize." Sect leader Chen Bin, there's no need for you to do this. The person who offended me was not you, so there's no need for you to apologize to me. In response to Chen Bin's apology, Mo Qingyun faintly smiled and waved his hand. He did not seem to be angered by Chen Yubong's actions at all. "Little friend Mo, you're really reasonable. Why don't you come to the sect and let me be the host?" Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, Chen Bin's expression immediately relaxed, and his evaluation of Mo Qingyun rose a few notches. Alright. Mo Qingyun did not reject Chen Bin's invitation and walked into the Mist Pond sect with Chen Bin. Sect leader Chen, the Jianhua sect is a subordinate force of the Sky Lake Sacred Mountain. Now that I've killed Guohua, I'm afraid the Sky Sword Sacred Mountain will not let this matter rest. I'm worried that they won't be able to find me and will take their anger out on the Mist Pond sect. Therefore, you have to be careful from now on. On the way into the Mist Pond sect, Mo Qingyun revealed a worried expression and reminded Chen Bin. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Chen Bin revealed a grateful expression and replied to Mo Qingyun, "Little friend Mo, there's something you don't know. Although Guohua and the others are subordinates of the Sky Sword Sacred Mountain, they're actually just sucking up to an elder of the Sky Sword Sacred Mountain. Therefore, the Sky Sword Sacred Mountain will definitely not send people to deal with our Mist Pond sect for them. I see. Emo Qingyun nodded. He pondered for a moment and said, even so, it's still better to be careful. I've troubled you, little friend Emo. I'll instruct them later. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Chun Bin's expression of gratitude and clasped his hands towards Emo. Now, in Chun Bin's eyes, Emo Qingyun was already someone of the same status as him. It could even be said that Emo Qingyun's status was even nobler than his. Emo Qingyun was only at the 9th stage of the Heaven Dipper realm, but his strength was already comparable to a high-level Transcendent Realm expert. Chun Bin found it hard to imagine how powerful Emo Qingyun would be once his cultivation broke through to the Transcendent Realm. Oh right, there's another very important matter that I need to remind Sect Master Chun. Thinking about the blood shadow in the blood jade mine, Emo Qingyun suddenly stopped and looked at Chun Bin with a serious expression. Little friend Emo, please speak. Seeing Emo Qingyun's expression, Chun Bin's expression also became serious as he waited for Emo Qingyun to speak. A few days ago, I discovered a terrifying existence in the blood jade mine of your esteemed sect. Emo Qingyun sorted out his thoughts and told Chun Bin about the blood shadow. With a serious expression, he said, therefore, to prevent your esteemed sect from being attacked by him, I suggest that Sect Master Chun move the Mist Pond sect out of Mingfeng mountain range. This. Chun Bin didn't doubt Emo Qingyun's words at all. After all, Emo Qingyun wouldn't gain anything by lying to him. However, he was a little hesitant and troubled by the fact that he had to move the sect. In his opinion, Emo Qingyun didn't understand the situation of the Mist Pond sect. Therefore, he suggested that he move the Mist Pond sect. Why did the Mist Pond sect come to Mingfeng mountain range? Wasn't it to avoid being hunted down by the Sky Sword Mystic Mountain? If he moved the Mist Pond sect out of Mingfeng mountain range, what if they were hunted down by the Sky Sword Mystic Mountain again? This was the problem that Chun Bin was most worried about. Seeing that the Mist Pond sect didn't reply, Emo Qingyun didn't continue to persuade them and followed Chun Bin into the sect. Seeing Emo Qingyun walking with Chun Bin, Wang Quan and the others revealed looks of admiration and envy. They couldn't help but sigh. They were all in the Heaven Dipper realm, but why was the difference so big? Bang! At this moment, when Emo Qingyun walked into the Mist Pond sect, a loud sound came from inside the Mist Pond sect. Seeing this, Chun Bin and the others no longer hesitated and hurried into the Mist Pond sect. Soon, an old man at the peak of the 6th level of the God Power realm climbed out of a pile of ruins. Martial Uncle Song Luo, what are you? Looking at the old man who made a mess of the surroundings, Chun Bin revealed a bitter expression. He didn't know what to say to the old man. What are you arguing about? I just had a small accident when refining the Violet Cloud Mansion Emperor pill, causing the pill to explode. After seeing Chun Bin's expression, the old man was displeased and reprimanded Chun Bin fiercely. Refining the Violet Cloud Mansion Emperor pill caused the pill to explode. It should be because the amount of violet cloud grass, golden flame fruit, and water cloud branch was not controlled properly. Hearing the old man's words, Emo Qingyun sniffed the smell in the air and guessed the situation. He smiled faintly and said, if I'm not wrong, this old man should be trying to break through to the Pill Emperor realm. Isn't it just a Violet Cloud Mansion Emperor pill? Seeing Song Luo's unreasonable appearance, Chun Bin immediately pulled a long face and almost cried. He begged, Martial Uncle Song Luo, I beg you to give up. You've already caused the pill to explode no less than 10 times. Useless. You've only failed 10 times. You think it's so easy to break through to the Pill Emperor realm? Song Luo didn't care about Chun Bin's words and curled his lips. It seemed like he wasn't willing to give up. After looking down on Chun Bin, Song Luo glared at the surrounding people and said angrily, What are you looking at? Haven't you seen a pill explode? Get the hell out of here right now. Hearing Song Luo's words, other than a few elders who stayed, the surrounding disciples immediately left Song Luo's cave. They were very clear about Song Luo's personality. He would beat someone up at the slightest disagreement. Right now, this Grand Elder was in a fit of anger. If he was angered, he would not be courteous to you. Boy, didn't you hear what I said? Seeing Mo Qingyun, a junior with Heavenly Dipper realm cultivation, still not leaving after hearing his words, Song Luo's expression became displeased all of a sudden. In addition, seeing Mo Qingyun looking at him with a smile that was not a smile, Song Luo's expression became even uglier. Lifting his feet, he walked over to Mo Qingyun and looked over, saying, "Do you think that this elder's pill refining skills are very poor? Are you making fun of this elder in your heart? Do you want to compare pill refining skills with this elder?" Song Luo asked several questions in a row, not giving Mo Qingyun a chance to refute at all. After seeing this scene, Chen Bin's expression immediately trembled. A strong sense of worry rose in his heart. Chapter 931. Uncle Master Song, this little friend Mo is. Seeing Song Luo's actions, Chen Bin dared not delay at all. He hurriedly walked over to Song Luo's side, wanting to stop him from competing with Mo Qingyun. Chen Bin was very clear in his heart that once Mo Qingyun was defeated, Song Luo would definitely take action to deal with Mo Qingyun. This was because in the past, when some disciples of the Mist Pond sect were angered by Song Luo, he would take care of them like this. However, could Song Luo take care of Mo Qingyun? Of course not. Although Song Luo's cultivation had reached the peak of the 6th level of the Divine Ability Realm, his true strength was definitely not Mo Qingyun's opponent. Moreover, could Chen Bin allow Song Luo to be rude to Mo Qingyun? Clearly not. He had worked so hard to get closer to Mo Qingyun, so how could he allow Song Luo to ruin it? "Chen Bin, you brat, shut your mouth." Song Luo did not wait for Chen Bin to finish his words of persuasion. He directly raised his hand and interrupted Chen Bin. After Song Luo interrupted Chen Bin's words, he revealed a mischievous smile as he looked at Mo Qingyun. He slowly walked in front of Mo Qingyun and said, "This elder has always liked to use virtue to convince others. Since you feel disdain towards my refining ability, this old man shall have a competition with you. If you can defeat this old man in pill refinement, this old man shall forgive your offense this time. If you cannot, you should know the consequences, right?" With that, Song Luo revealed a mischievous smile and began to rub his palms together. Seeing Song Luo's plan, Chen Bin's heart skipped a beat. He knew what the consequences were. Afterwards, Chen Bin hurriedly walked over to Mo Qingyun and tried to persuade Mo Qingyun not to agree to the competition. However, what made Chen Bin despair was that before he could even lift his foot, Mo Qingyun had already agreed without any hesitation. "Shit, I'm in big trouble this time." Seeing Mo Qingyun agree so readily, Chen Bin was dumbfounded. He didn't know what to do. Mo Qingyun and Song Luo were competing in alchemy. This was no longer a question of who would win, but rather, did Mo Qingyun know how to refine pills? Chen Bin absolutely did not believe that Mo Qingyun, with such a monstrous cultivation talent, could also possess such superb alchemy skills. Moreover, with Song Luo's 9th tier Pill King level, so what if Mo Qingyun knew how to refine pills? Could it be that Mo Qingyun's alchemy skills were higher than Song Luo's, reaching the level of a 9th grade Pill King, or even a Pill Emperor? Alchemy was not like cultivation. Perhaps after a fortuitous encounter, one's cultivation could advance by leaps and bounds, transforming from a carp into a dragon. Alchemy was a long and arduous process. No matter how high one's perception was, to become a Tier 9 Pill King, it would take at least a few decades, or even a few hundred years of accumulation. And how old was Mo Qingyun? From Mo Qingyun's appearance, even taking everything into account, he was definitely not more than 30 years old. 30 years old, Tier 9 Pill King? Chen Bin shook his head, feeling that this was a bit unrealistic. He did not believe that Emo Qingyun had such a level of alchemy skills. After thinking about this, Chunbin could not wait to walk towards Emo Qingyun. He advised Emo Qingyun, "Little friend Emo, I think we should forget about this alchemy competition. I will accompany you to take a look around the Fog Pool sect. Sect leader Chun, I still have some knowledge about alchemy. You don't need to persuade me anymore. Let me interact with this senior." As for Chen Bin's suggestion, Emo Qingyun politely declined with a faint smile. He could see that Song Luo was only one step away from becoming a pill emperor. Therefore, he wanted to take this opportunity to help Song Luo. Actually, before Emo Qingyun came to the Fog Pool sect, he already had a plan in mind. He wanted to help the Fog Pool sect. After all, no matter what, the Fog Pool sect used to be a vassal force of the Heavenly Pool Mountain. They were also extremely loyal. Since Emo Qingyun said this, Chun Bin did not try to persuade him anymore. From his point of view, with Emo Qingyun's ability, even if he lost, he might not lose to Song Luo. He did not need to worry too much about this. On the contrary, Chun Bin was worried about Song Luo. He hoped that after Song Luo won the competition, he would not think about helping Emo Qingyun. Or else, the result would disappoint him greatly. "Little brat, you sure are straightforward. I like your personality." Seeing that Emo Qingyun agreed so quickly, Song Luo immediately smiled proudly, as if some evil plan had succeeded. Thinking that he would be able to beat Emo Qingyun until he begged for mercy, Song Luo could not wait any longer. A wave of satisfaction rose in his heart. "Little brat, if you need any alchemy materials, feel free to tell me. I will immediately order people to prepare them for you." Song Luo impatiently asked Emo Qingyun about his request. In his opinion, Emo Qingyun definitely didn't have any alchemy materials on him. "Give me a 500-year-old purple cloud grass, a 300-year-old golden flame fruit, a 200-year-old water creek branch." Hearing Song Luo say this, Emo Qingyun wasn't polite at all. He listed out dozens of alchemy materials in a row. At this time, every alchemy material that Emo Qingyun listed out was worth tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of spirit essence stones. This caused Chun Bin and the others to feel a pang in their hearts. If this was calculated, then the total value of Emo Qingyun's furnace of alchemy materials would be over 1 billion spirit essence stones. If Emo Qingyun really could refine pills, then it wouldn't matter if he spent so many materials. But, did Emo Qingyun know how to refine pills? Emo Qingyun didn't know how to refine pills. Like this, if these alchemy materials that were worth over 1 billion spirit essence stones were given to Emo Qingyun, they would all be wasted. Thinking that they would lose over 1 billion spirit essence stones in the blink of an eye, even with the status of Chun Bin and the others, they still felt a pang in their hearts. However, since they had already spoken, they couldn't go back on their word. In desperation, they could only brace themselves and agree to Emo Qingyun's request for alchemy materials. Perhaps because they were too distressed over the alchemy materials, Chun Bin and the others didn't discover that the alchemy materials that Emo Qingyun wanted were the materials needed to refine the Violet Cloud Mansion Emperor Pill. "Boy, you're actually willing to ask." After hearing Emo Qingyun's request for alchemy materials, Song Luo revealed a look of surprise. In his heart, he sighed at how ruthless Emo Qingyun was. However, he was the same as Chun Bin and the others. He only thought that the alchemy materials that Emo Qingyun needed were far too precious. He didn't think that the alchemy materials that Emo Qingyun needed were the materials needed to refine the Violet Cloud Mansion Emperor Pill. After speaking these words of surprise, Song Luo looked at Emo Qingyun and his smile became even more sly. He said, "But, if you destroy these alchemy materials, this old man will not forgive you." As Song Luo spoke to hear, he wickedly smiled. His expression gradually became serious as he said, "Boy, in order to prevent others from saying that this old man is taking advantage of you, this old man will use the same alchemy materials as you." After hearing Song Luo's words, Chen Bin and the others felt a burst of heartache. Their hearts began to drip blood. At this moment, Chen Bin could already see the 2 mountains of spirit essence stones disappear in front of them. Although several billion spirit essence stones weren't much compared to the wealth of the Fog Pond sect, the Fog Pond sect's business was large and their expenses were also large. They couldn't afford such a waste. Chapter 932. After a while, the materials that Emo Qinyun and Song Luo needed were sent over by an elder. "Kid, I have the same materials as you. If you lose later, don't go back on your word." When Song Luo saw the alchemy materials being delivered to him, he smiled proudly at Emo Qinyun like an old urchin. In his opinion, a heavenly dipper realm brat competing with him in alchemy, this was really too ignorant of the immensity of heaven and earth. Ha ha! Emo Qinyun only smiled mysteriously at Song Luo's arrogant words and did not reply. Clang! With that, Emo Qinyun took out the sacred beast cauldron and placed it on the ground in front of him. "Oh, I didn't expect you to be so well prepared." Song Luo's expression changed when he saw the sacred beast cauldron in front of Emo Qinyun. His eyes flashed with surprise. He did not expect Emo Qinyun to have a cauldron with him. Moreover, it was a cauldron of good quality. Song Luo was not the only one who was surprised when he saw the sacred beast cauldron. Even Chen Bin and the rest were shocked when they saw it. Could it be that Emo Qinyun really knows how to refine pills? At that moment, such a thought popped up in Chen Bin and the rest's minds. Otherwise, why would Emo Qinyun have a cauldron with him? However, after a short moment of surprise, Chen Bin and the rest shook their heads. In their opinion, so what if Emo Qinyun knew how to refine pills? Could Emo Qinyun's alchemy skills be better than Song Luo's? This was simply a competition without any suspense. "Kid, I'll make the first move." After Song Luo took out the cauldron, he took out a red spiritual stone and threw it into the cauldron. Then, a gentle flame appeared in the cauldron. Under Song Luo's control, the cauldron refined the materials. Pure Yang Firefly Stone. Martial Uncle Song even used this. He's really, seeing the red spirit stones in Song Luo's pill furnace, Chen Bin was speechless. He felt that Song Luo was too shameless. With his age and alchemy skills, to compete with Emo Qinyun in alchemy, he actually used the pure Yang Firefly Stone. This was even more shameful than cheating. This was simply bullying. The pure Yang Firefly Stone was an extremely rare fire-type spirit stone that could help alchemists refine medicinal ingredients. Under the refinement of the pure Yang Firefly Stone, the purity of the medicinal herbs was higher than when refined by ordinary flames, and the medicinal efficacy of the medicinal herbs was also better preserved. Bang! While Chen Bin and the others were shocked by Song Luo's actions, Emo Qinyun summoned a pure soul fire and sent it into the holy beast furnace. Soul fire! Chen Bin and the others were stunned when they saw Emo Qinyun's actions. Clearly, they did not expect Emo Qinyun to have such a move. Who would have thought that this Emo Qinyun would actually have some knowledge of alchemy? Seeing Emo Qinyun summon the soul fire, Chen Bin could not help but feel a little more anticipation for Emo Qinyun's alchemy skills. Of course, it was just anticipation. He did not think that Emo Qinyun could win against Song Luo. Interesting. Song Luo's expression turned slightly startled. The interest in his eyes as he looked at Emo Qinyun unconsciously deepened. Obviously, he did not expect Emo Qinyun to have such alchemy skills. However, before everyone could recover from their shock, their expressions became even more shocked. They saw Emo Qinyun's hands move, condensing a complicated rune that evolved into the Flaming Bird Shadow. After the Flaming Bird Shadow was formed, Emo Qinyun's right hand formed a seal and gently pointed at the alchemy materials beside him. Then, the alchemy materials were like small fish, scrambling to jump into the Flaming Bird Shadow's mouth. Swoosh! After the Flaming Bird Shadow swallowed the alchemy materials, It raised its head to the sky and flew in circles above the sacred beast cauldron. Under the fluttering of the flaming bird's shadow, the alchemy materials in its stomach were slowly purified. After seeing Emo Qingyun's move, Chun Bin and the others' expressions changed drastically. They were instantly stunned. That's a great alchemy technique that has been lost for 10,000 years, the divine beast vermilion bird cauldron technique. Also, the dragonfly skimming the water hand and the carp leaping over the dragon gate hand have already been cultivated to the realm of returning to one's original state. Look, that's a great alchemy technique that has been lost for 7,000 years, the spring breeze nourishing rain hand. How is this possible? With Emo Qingyun's age, how can he master such a great alchemy technique? Even if I cultivate this technique, I won't be able to master it. A monster. A peerless monster. Seeing Emo Qingyun's move, Chun Bin and the others were shocked. They began to take Emo Qingyun's alchemy ability seriously. At this moment, the Fog Pool sect disciples who were hiding in the surroundings were petrified when they saw Emo Qingyun's performance. Can he still let people live? Brother Mo's cultivation talent is already so strong. Why is his alchemy talent so abnormal as well? Yeah, he doesn't let people live at all. He can obviously rely on his strength to make a living. Why does he need to know alchemy? When he's done refining, I want to acknowledge him as my master. At that time, when I'm in a good mood, I can kiss him. When I'm in a bad mood, I'll just slap him. Damn, senior sister, you're too evil. You're trying to take liberties with master. That's right, too evil. I only want to say one thing. When senior sister acknowledges him as your master, just call me. I'll go too. Let's go together. For a moment, the women of the Fog Pool sect were all infatuated. They wanted nothing more than to rush up and throw themselves at Emo Qingyun. Then, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Emo Qingyun purified the alchemy ingredients bit by bit. Dozens of hours later, all the alchemy ingredients were finally purified by Emo Qingyun. They turned into medicinal droplets filled with spiritual energy. After finishing all this, Emo Qingyun began to condense the medicinal droplets and condense them into the shape of the pill. Emo Qingyun once again formed a seal with both hands. 2 dazzling rays of light, one black and one white, bloomed. Then, the 2 rays of light, one black and one white, turned into a Tai Chi image, enveloping all the medicinal droplets. This is really the profound clear Tai Chi alchemy hand. Isn't this an alchemy technique from the antiquity age? Seeing Emo Qingyun's actions, Chun Bin's heart began to beat faster. He suddenly felt that his brain wasn't enough. At this moment, Emo Qingyun's performance had completely exceeded his expectations. It wasn't something he could understand. Not only Chun Bin, but even Song Luo, who was refining pills at the side, was stunned when he saw Emo Qingyun's performance. He even forgot about refining pills. He couldn't help but admit that Emo Qingyun had shocked him too much. It was completely beyond his imagination. At the same time, Song Luo also realized that Emo Qingyun's alchemy ability was much higher than his. Then, Song Luo gave up on refining pills. Like a student, he seriously watched Emo Qingyun refine pills. Chapter 933. Time passed by slowly. As time went by, the medicinal droplets in the Xianqing Tai Chi picture gradually took shape. Next, it's time to complete the last step, forming the pill. Seeing that the pill had taken shape, Emo Qingyun smiled faintly and began the last step of refining the pill, forming the pill. Form. Emo Qingyun's hands moved quickly, releasing a dazzling light. It formed a lightning rune and flew into the sky. Then, clouds began to gather above the Fog Pool sect. Lightning bolts kept rolling in the clouds. When they saw this scene, everyone's expression changed again, and they felt extremely shocked in their hearts. This was the lightning-tempering pill hand. Emo Qingyun was going to let the pill go through the lightning tribulation. The lightning-tempering pill hand. Is Mo Qingyun going to attract the lightning tribulation and let the pill go through it to become a tribulation-grade pill? Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Chen Bin was shocked. He was really shocked by Mo Qingyun's actions. Under normal circumstances, unless an alchemist was extremely confident in himself, he would not attract the lightning tribulation and let the pill go through it to become a tribulation-grade pill. Looking at the current situation, Mo Qingyun was obviously very confident in his alchemy ability. The lightning tempering pill hand. This kid is really bold. When he saw Mo Qingyun's actions, Song Luo revealed shock as well, and his expression became solemn. Although he had refined tribulation-grade pills before, under normal circumstances, he still did not dare to let the pill go through the lightning tribulation. After all, if he was not careful, the pill would be destroyed by the lightning tribulation. The loss would outweigh the gain. Under everyone's gaze, a silver lightning bolt fell from the sky and directly hit the pill. Boom! After the lightning tribulation fell on the pill, it directly enveloped the pill and began to temper it. After a while, the lightning tribulation dissipated and the pill reappeared in front of everyone's eyes. Compared to before, the medicinal pill at this time clearly had some more luster, and the strength of the medicinal elemental energy was also a little stronger. It seemed that the pill had successfully passed the tribulation. However, what everyone did not expect was that just as they were rejoicing over the success of the pill, another bolt of tribulation lightning descended from the sky. This bolt of tribulation lightning was even brighter than the previous one, and its aura was also much stronger. Chen Bin and the others panicked when they saw the tribulation lightning. Their hearts were in their mouth. They truly did not expect that Mo Qingyun would actually be so daring, actually wanting to let the medicinal pills undergo tribulations consecutively. Is he crazy? Can he withstand the continuous tribulations? This Mo Qingyun always does things beyond our expectations. This kind of courage is not something we can compare to. It's just that this way, the possibility of the pill being destroyed will be much higher. I don't know if this pill can withstand it. Looking at the second lightning tribulation, everyone was nervous. They stared at the pills without blinking. A moment later, the lightning dissipated, and the pill once again emerged from the tribulation lightning. After going through the tempering of the second tribulation lightning, the medicinal pill's luster was even brighter than before, and the medicinal elemental energy was also a little denser. He had also successfully passed through the second tribulation. However, before everyone could calm their frowns, the third bolt of lightning struck. Seeing the third tribulation lightning descend, Chen Bin and the others were no longer worried. Instead, they were starting to go crazy. Is this Mo Qingyun trying to destroy the pill with his own strength? How can the lightning tempering pill hand be used like this? My little heart can't take it anymore. This is too king exciting. Is this how all geniuses play? Mediocre people like us really can't compare. This is playing with my heart. Seeing the third tribulation lightning descend, everyone's hearts were filled with annoyance. They could not wait to beat Mo Qingyun up. He really did not know how to cherish the pill. It was not easy to refine a second tribulation spiritual pill, but he actually wasted it so casually. What a waste! Boom! A deafening sound came from the top of the pill, drawing everyone's attention to it. The tribulation lightning struck the pill, and a blinding light exploded, forming a lightning ball the size of a water tank. Chi. As they got closer, they could clearly hear the piercing sound coming from the pill. After a while, the sound on the pill gradually weakened, and the pill was revealed again. At this time, another tribulation pattern appeared on the pill, and the medicinal elemental energy was much stronger than before. However, just as the third tribulation lightning dissipated, the fourth tribulation lightning followed closely behind. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, the surrounding people's expressions became strange. They did not know how to express their feelings. Damn, Brother Mo is too mighty. He destroyed the pill with his strength. I can't stop at all. Seeing Emo Qingyun's actions, Wang Quan's face was filled with admiration, and he could not help but exclaim. After hearing Wang Quan's words, the surrounding fog pool sect disciples all nodded in agreement. Following that, Emo Qingyun's actions made everyone kneel down in worship. They could not help but be convinced by his actions. After the fourth tribulation lightning, Emo Qingyun attracted 3 more tribulation lightning consecutively, allowing the pill to charge towards the 7th tribulation spiritual pill. As the 7th tribulation lightning descended, everyone's mood instantly became extremely tense, and even breathing became difficult. Too exciting, too exciting! A 7th tribulation spiritual pill. As long as they could survive this tribulation lightning, the 7th tribulation spiritual pill would be produced. Even with Chun Bin and the others' experience, they had never seen a 7th tribulation spiritual pill before. Not to mention a 7th tribulation spiritual pill, they had not even seen a 3rd tribulation spiritual pill in their lives. Although tribulation grade pills could not change the grade of the pill, they could change the medicinal effect of the pill. After each tribulation lightning, the medicinal effect of the pill would increase exponentially. It was easy to imagine how terrifying the medicinal effect of the pill would be after 7 lightning tribulations. After a while, the tribulation lightning on the pill dissipated, revealing the pill that was shining brightly. At this time, another tribulation pattern appeared on the pill, which meant that the 7th tribulation lightning had been successfully passed. A 7th grade tribulation pill, not bad. Looking at the pill in front of him, Emo Qingyun revealed a satisfied expression and nodded with a faint smile. Not bad? Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Chun Bin and the others immediately went crazy. How could a 7th tribulation spiritual pill be not bad? In the past, I always thought that Grand Elder Song Luo was the best at acting tough. Now I realize that I was wrong. I realized long ago that Brother Emo is the ancestor of acting tough in the world. Seeing Emo Qingyun's actions, Wang Quan and the others' admiration for him increased exponentially. Under everyone's gaze, Emo Qingyun formed a hand seal with both hands and pointed at the pill in front of him. Then, the radiance on the pill began to disappear and slowly converged into the pill. At this moment, an image emerged from the pill and floated above the pill, playing continuously. This was the pill image. Pill image. Only when an emperor pill is formed will the pill image be produced. Could it be? Chapter 934. If not for seeing this scene with his own eyes, Chun Bin would never have imagined that Emo Qingyun was actually an alchemy sovereign. One had to know Emo Qingyun's age was not even 30 years old, but he already had alchemy sovereign level alchemy standards. This was also too monstrous. At this moment, Chun Bin and the rest all felt their heads buzzing, feeling like their worldview collapsed. What **T increase in alchemy ability, requiring accumulation over a long period of time. This was complete nonsense. If that was really the case, then how to explain Emo Qingyun becoming an alchemy sovereign at his age? If it really went according to that, even if Emo Qingyun started studying alchemy in his mother's womb, he also could not reach this level now, right? For a moment, Chun Bin and the rest had great doubts about their understanding of alchemy. What terrifying talent! To think that he actually became an alchemy sovereign at his age. This level of talent seems to be even more monstrous than Lord Gucci 100 years ago. Indeed, more monstrous than Lord Gucci. Even with Lord Gucci's talent, he only became an alchemy sovereign after 50 years old. Chun Bin and the rest all had shocked looks on their faces, unconsciously comparing Emo Qingyun with Gucci. Alchemy sovereign, this kid is actually an alchemy sovereign. Looking at the pill image above Emo Qingyun, Song Luo was instantly stunned, his eyes revealing intense envy. His alchemy standards had already reached Tier 9 Alchemy King level for a full 20 years, but he had always been stuck at this level, unable to break through. A brat who was not even 30 years old now had Alchemy Sovereign level alchemy standard. This was seriously too big of a blow to him. In addition, with Song Luo's eyesight, he could tell that Emo Qingyun's true alchemy standards were not those who just broke through to Alchemy Sovereign. An alchemist who just advanced to Alchemy Sovereign level did not have the ability to let an imperial pill go through 7 alchemy tribulations and not fail. After a moment, the pill image dissipated, sealed inside the medicinal pill by Emo Qingyun. Following the pill image being sealed inside the medicinal pill seemed to have gained intelligence all of a sudden, wanting to flash and escape this scene. "Come here." Looking at the medicinal pill that wanted to escape, Emo Qingyun lifted his hand and grabbed with an indifferent expression. A majestic surge of essence energy erupted from his hand. After this surge of essence energy erupted, it turned into a blue hand, directly holding the medicinal pill in his hand. Under the blue hand's grip, the pill struggled to no avail. Finally, it was delivered in front of Emo Qingyun. Seeing this, Emo Qingyun raised his hand and took the pill in his hand. He carefully examined it. Glancing at the pill in his hand, Emo Qingyun revealed a satisfied smile and placed the pill into a jade bottle. Seeing Emo Qingyun about to put away the medicinal pill, the nearby Song Luo revealed a nervous expression, and he walked over to Emo Qingyun and requested, "This, little friend, can you let this old man have a look at that medicinal pill?" Emo Qingyun nodded and handed the Violet Cloud Palace Emperor pill to Song Luo. Receiving the medicinal pill from Emo Qingyun's hand, Song Luo was stunned. His expression became more and more excited. This was the Violet Cloud Palace Emperor pill. The medicinal pill that Emo Qingyun had just refined was actually the Violet Cloud Palace Emperor pill. Because the Violet Cloud Palace Emperor pill had been continuously undergoing pill tribulations, Song Luo didn't recognize it immediately. Now that he took a closer look, he immediately recognized it. Knowing that Emo Qingyun had refined the Violet Cloud Palace Emperor pill, Song Luo's impression of Emo Qingyun's alchemy skills became even higher. Violet Cloud Palace Emperor pill. Little friend Emo actually refined the Violet Cloud Palace Emperor pill. The difficulty of refining the Violet Cloud Palace Emperor pill is no less than a second-grade Emperor pill. Could it be that little friend Emo is a second-grade pill Emperor? Second-grade pill Emperor? Definitely not. A second-grade pill Emperor can't let the Violet Cloud Palace Emperor pill go through 7 pill tribulations without being defeated. If that's the case, could it be that he's a third-grade pill Emperor or a fourth-grade? Hiss! What a terrifying talent in alchemy! For a moment, everyone was shocked again. They didn't dare to continue thinking. Under normal circumstances, it was extremely difficult to raise one's alchemy level after reaching the level of Pill Emperor. If one wanted to advance from a first-grade Pill Emperor to a fourth-grade Pill Emperor, even if the speed was very fast, it would take at least a few decades. Thinking of this, Chun Bin and others' understanding of alchemy received a strong impact again. This made them have great doubts about their understanding of alchemy. Was the alchemy knowledge that they had learned before really correct? Now, when everyone was shocked by Emo Qingyun's alchemy skills, Emo Qingyun walked to the side of Song Luo's cauldron. Seeing Emo Qingyun's action, everyone was stunned. Some didn't understand what Emo Qingyun was going to do. Bang! Under everyone's gaze, Emo Qingyun raised his hand and inserted a strand of soul fire into the cauldron. He wanted to continue refining Song Luo's unfinished pill. Seeing Emo Qingyun's action, Chun Bin and others were immediately puzzled. They didn't understand what he was going to do. Could it be that a failed pill could still be refined again? Emo. Little friend Emo, this cauldron of pills has been ruined. Although your alchemy skills are superb, I'm afraid it can't be saved. Seeing Emo Qingyun's action, Song Luo showed a helpless expression. He tried to persuade Mo Qingyun not to waste his energy. In his opinion, the alchemy materials that had already been ruined could not be salvaged. Elder Song, the pill materials in your cauldron haven't started to condense into a pill shape. Therefore, there is still some room to save it. Hearing Song Luo's helpless words, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and shook his head. His hands moved quickly. Then, 2 rays of light, one black and one white, bloomed from Mo Qingyun's hands. They emitted a mysterious aura. A reverse Taiji diagram flew out from Mo Qingyun's hands and enveloped the pill materials in the cauldron. Under the effect of the reverse primordial image, the originally dull alchemy materials gradually began to recover their vitality. Seeing this, Song Luo's body trembled. It was as if he had seen a miracle. This is an ancient alchemy technique, the yin-yang reversal heaven and earth hand. Seeing the Taiji diagram in the cauldron, Song Luo couldn't help but take a few steps back. He couldn't believe it. In the entire Tianhun continent, there were probably less than 3 people who knew how to refine pills from the ancient era. But now, a young man who wasn't even 30 years old was using such a heaven-defying technique. It scared him quite a bit. As for Chun Bin and the others, they were just as shocked as Song Luo when they saw Mo Qingyun's technique. For a moment, the surroundings were silent. No one dared to make a sound. Of course, it wasn't that they didn't dare, but that they were too shocked to react. Chapter 935. After a while, a strange scene flew out of the medicinal pill, changing continuously above everyone's head. This was the pill image. The appearance of the pill image indicated that Mo Qingyun's medicinal pill refinement was successful. The pill refinement material that everyone saw as a waste, Mo Qingyun actually refined it into a medicinal pill too. After such a scene appeared, everyone's faces revealed shock, feeling disbelief in their hearts. Their understanding of pill refinement was once again shattered by Mo Qingyun. How can this be? On him, it seems like all of the pill refinement rules have completely lost their reference value. Song Luo revealed a look of disbelief, unable to accept this result for a long time in his heart. This was seriously too inconceivable. At this moment, a strange thought involuntarily rose in Song Luo's heart. Could it be that Mo Qingyun specialized in breaking these pill refinement rules? Not just Song Luo, Chun Bin and the rest on the side were the same, unable to help but have such a strange thought. In their memories, they seemed to have never heard before that pill refinement materials that had already been wasted could still be refined into medicinal pills anew. If that was really the case, medicinal pills wouldn't be so precious. Anyway, pill refinement materials could be used repeatedly. During the purification process previously, too much of the medicinal properties of the pill refinement materials were lost, resulting in it being unable to refine into tribulation-grade medicinal pills. This is a bit of a pity. Looking at the violet cloud Tongfu Emperor pill that was successfully refined, Mo Qingyun sighed slightly, revealing a look of regret. Unable to refine into tribulation-grade medicinal pills? Mo Qingyun seemed to be unsatisfied with this. After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Chun Bin and the rest's heads buzzed, receiving a huge blow in their hearts. At this moment, they already didn't know how to express their feelings. Pill refinement materials that were wasted were refined into medicinal pills by Mo Qingyun. This was already a rather heaven-defying thing. However, Mo Qingyun was actually not satisfied with this. He still wanted to refine tribulation-grade pills. This was simply too hard to accept. Mo Qingyun shook his head in disappointment when he glanced at the Violet Cloud Mansion Emperor pill in his hand. He casually tossed the pill to Chun Bin and said, "Sect Master Chun, although only one tribulation-grade pill has been refined, it's fortunate that both sets of ingredients have been refined into pills, so the Mist Pool sect didn't have to spend any unnecessary money." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Chun Bin and the others immediately blushed as a strong sense of shame rose in their hearts. Normally, when they were refining pills, they would be very satisfied if they could succeed 3 out of 10 times. What about Emo Chingyun? He had successfully concocted 2 pills in a row, but he didn't manage to concoct a tribulation-grade pill the first time. Yet, he was still dissatisfied. More importantly, they couldn't blame Emo Chingyun for not being able to concoct a tribulation-grade pill that time. The alchemy materials that Emo Chingyun used had already been ruined. If they could still be refined into tribulation-grade pills like that, they would probably go crazy from the shock. How could the other alchemists survive? Seeing Emo Chingyun casually toss the Violet Cloud Mansion Emperor pill away, Chen Bin immediately panicked. His heart was hanging in his throat. This was an imperial-grade pill. How could he just toss it away like that? What if it broke? Of course, Chen Bin only felt a little heartache. He wasn't dissatisfied because of this. Sect Master Chen, if you don't mind, I can give a lecture on alchemy to the elders of the Mist Pool sect. After tossing the Violet Cloud Mansion Emperor pill to Chen Bin, Emo Chingyun's expression became more serious as he spoke his thoughts. What? You want to give us a lecture on alchemy? After hearing Emo Chingyun's words, Chen Bin almost fainted from happiness. He couldn't believe that this was real for a long time. Right now, what the Fog Pool sect lacked the most was a leader who could concoct pills to guide them in their cultivation. Now that a powerful pill emperor like Emo Chingyun was willing to give them a lecture, this was simply a pie falling from the sky. I don't mind. After being stunned for a short while, Chen Bin hurriedly waved his hand. What a joke. If Chen Bin encountered such a good thing, he wouldn't refuse unless his brain was clamped. After expressing his willingness to listen to Emo Chingyun's lecture, Chen Bin revealed a look of anticipation. He rubbed his hands and asked Emo Chingyun, This, little brother Emo, when will you be free? I'll order someone to arrange it. Seeing that Emo Chingyun wanted to guide them in alchemy, Chen Bin was so excited that he even subconsciously changed the way he addressed Emo Chingyun. It's best to arrange it now because I still have some things to do. I can't stay in the Mist Pool sect for too long. Emo Chingyun considered Chen Bin's question for a moment before ordering Chen Bin to immediately arrange it. Alright, I'll go arrange it now. After hearing Emo Chingyun's instructions, Chen Bin didn't dare to hesitate in the slightest. He hurriedly ordered Emo Chingyun to give a lecture on alchemy. When Chen Bin arranged for Emo Chingyun to give a lecture on alchemy, Song Luo revealed an expression of anticipation. He looked at Emo Chingyun with some hesitation. He seemed to be considering whether or not he should also join in and listen to Emo Chingyun's lecture on alchemy. However, when he thought of how rude he was to Emo Chingyun, Song Luo hesitated in his heart. He didn't know what to say to Emo Chingyun. Seeing Song Luo's expression, Emo Chingyun immediately guessed what he was thinking. He smiled faintly and said, Elder Song, if you don't mind, you can also come and listen. I can also participate? After hearing Emo Chingyun's words, Song Luo immediately revealed an expression of ecstasy. For a moment, he didn't know what to say. Of course you can. Unless you feel that my alchemy skills are too low and that I don't have the right to share my alchemy experience with you. Seeing Song Luo's reaction, Emo Chingyun smiled faintly and joked with him. Little brother Emo, don't make me feel bad. This time, I accept my loss wholeheartedly. I was indeed a frog in a well before. Hearing Emo Chingyun's joking words, Song Luo's face couldn't help but redden as he spoke in shame. When they saw Song Luo admit defeat to Emo Chingyun and admit his mistake, Chen Bin and the others couldn't help but look at Emo Chingyun with admiration. Based on their understanding of Song Luo, this old man wouldn't admit his mistake so easily. He was a classic example of a stubborn duck. Even if he had done something wrong, he still wouldn't admit his mistake. Who would have thought that he would actually lower his head and admit his mistake to Emo Chingyun? How could Chen Bin and the others not be surprised? I, Old Chong, rarely admire people. Today, I am wholeheartedly convinced by little brother Mo. This kind of boldness, this kind of breadth of mind, no one can compare. When he saw Song Luo admit his mistake to Mo Qingyun, an elder beside Chen Bin revealed an expression of admiration. A moment later, the elder who had gone to arrange the sermon came to Chen Bin's side and reported the progress of the matter. When he heard that the matter had been arranged, Chen Bin walked over to Mo Qingyun and asked for his opinion. Little brother Mo, the place for the sermon has been arranged. When should we go over? Let's go! Chapter 936. Not long after, Mo Qingyun arrived at a square that was close to 10,000 square meters under Chen Bin's guidance. This was the place where the Fog Pond sect's disciples usually listened to the elders' lectures. However, today, the students here were all elders of the Fog Pond sect. Walking into the square, Mo Qingyun walked into an elegant pavilion under Chen Bin's guidance. After sending Mo Qingyun to the pavilion, Chen Bin walked to the center of the square with a humble expression like a student and sat down. Not long after, the square was filled with nearly 100 Fog Pond sect elders. They all had humble expressions as they waited for Mo Qingyun to teach them the art of alchemy. Since everyone is here, I will now share with everyone some of my knowledge on alchemy. Glancing at the crowd below, Mo Qingyun began to share his knowledge on alchemy with Chen Bin and the others. Mo Qingyun was a venerable level alchemist in his previous life. His understanding of alchemy was naturally very thorough. Listening to Mo Qingyun's narration, Chen Bin and the others quickly understood. Their expressions became extremely excited. Mo Qingyun's narration had opened a whole new door for them. It gave them a whole new understanding of alchemy. Immediately after, everyone's gazes towards Mo Qingyun were filled with strong admiration. Their expressions became even more humble. They found it hard to imagine that someone could comprehend the art of alchemy to such a high level. Time passed bit by bit as Mo Qingyun continued to narrate the story. As they listened to Mo Qingyun's narration, everyone seemed to have forgotten about time. They were completely immersed in the sea of knowledge on alchemy. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. At this moment, Mo Qingyun stopped his narration and looked at Chen Bin and the others with satisfaction. After these few days of teaching, they discovered that although Chen Bin and the others' alchemy skills were not high, their basic skills were extremely solid. As a result, what they lacked was a teacher's guidance. They lacked the correct guidance of a great teacher. Now that Mo Qingyun had appeared, he had undoubtedly solved their problem and allowed them to find a breakthrough in their alchemy skills. Looking at Chen Bin and the others who were still immersed in the knowledge of alchemy, Mo Qingyun did not disturb them and allowed them to digest the knowledge they had learned. Just like that, another 2 days passed. After 2 days of digesting Mo Qingyun's knowledge, Chen Bin and the others gradually memorized and familiarized themselves with it. However, if he wanted to achieve comprehension, mastery, and use it in actual alchemy, he still needed some time to practice. However, Mo Qingyun was already prepared for such a situation. Seeing that everyone had woken up from digesting the knowledge, Mo Qingyun revealed a faint smile on his face. He said to Chen Bin and the others, "Alchemy is a job that can be perfected through practice. Everything still needs to be built on actual operations. Next, everyone choose a type of pill that is 1 or 2 levels higher than your alchemist level to refine." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, everyone was stunned. They were extremely shocked by Mo Qingyun's words. Although everyone had heard Mo Qingyun's explanation and had a better understanding of alchemy, wasn't it a little too impatient to try to level up now? Therefore, Chen Bin and the others hesitated. They didn't know if they should follow Mo Qingyun's instructions. Towards everyone's reaction, Mo Qingyun had expected it. He wasn't too surprised. "Everyone, don't worry. Next, I will observe your alchemy process from the side." Seeing the hesitation on Chen Bin and the others' faces, Mo Qingyun comforted them and dispelled their worries. he then said. Only when you refine pills in front of me can I clearly understand what each of you is lacking. Then, I will be able to teach you according to your aptitude and allow you to raise your alchemist level faster. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Chen Bin and the others understood Emo Qingyun's intentions. A strong sense of gratitude rose in their hearts. Emo Qingyun had only known them for a few days. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that they met by chance. However, Emo Qingyun treated them like this. This kind of action really moved them too much. This was simply a kind of gratitude for recognizing one's worth. Dang dang dang, for a moment, the sound of pill cauldrons hitting the ground rang out from the square. After a while, everyone took out their pill cauldrons and began to refine their own pills. Domain gate. Seeing this, Emo Qingyun didn't hesitate and directly released the domain gate. A blinding light suddenly erupted from Emo Qingyun's body and instantly enveloped the entire square. The reason why Emo Qingyun let Chen Bin and the others refine pills on the spot was not only to guide them in alchemy, but also to test the power of the domain gate. What kind of technique is this? Under the cover of this light, I actually feel like I'm in a different space. Little brother Emo is really unfathomable. Each of his techniques is more amazing than the last. I wonder what kind of force little brother Emo is from. I'm really curious. What kind of people can nurture such a genius like him? Chen Bin and the others were shocked. They were once again shocked by Emo Qingyun's technique. However, Chen Bin and the others weren't ordinary people after all. After a short moment of shock, they began to focus on refining pills. In his opinion, the most important thing now was to refine pills and let Emo Qingyun find out their shortcomings. Under the cover of the domain gate, the situation of Chen Bin and the others was completely observed by Emo Qingyun. After this discovery, Emo Qingyun couldn't help but have a better understanding of the domain gate. Next, Emo Qingyun silently observed Chen Bin and the others through the domain gate. If they made any mistakes, Emo Qingyun would come to their side and point out their shortcomings. Next, time passed bit by bit as everyone refined pills. Half a day later, the first elder to successfully refine a pill appeared. This was an elder with a lower level of pill refinement. Because the pill he refined was of a lower level, he was the first to complete his pill refinement. What was worth being proud of was that with Emo Qingyun's guidance and help, he successfully refined a pill that was 2 levels higher than him. Although this didn't mean that his pill refinement level had directly risen by 2 levels, it would definitely be immeasurably beneficial for his future pill refinement. After the first elder's successful refinement, the next elders who succeeded in refining pills appeared like bamboo shoots after the rain. Some of them successfully refined pills with Emo Qingyun's help, while others refined pills independently. Those elders who had successfully refined pills on their own indicated that their alchemist level had been promoted during their previous studies. Just like that, time passed bit by bit. After half a day, only Chen Bin and Song Luo were left in the square. Chapter 937. A day later. 2 streaks of light flew from Song Luo and Chen Bin's pills to above them, presenting 2 different images. After seeing these 2 images, everyone was pleasantly surprised, and their expressions became somewhat excited. Pill images appeared. This meant that Chen Bin and Song Luo's alchemy level had both advanced to the level of an alchemy emperor. From now on, not only did the Fog Pool sect have an alchemy emperor, but they also had 2 alchemy emperors. This way, it wouldn't be long before the Fog Pool sect's overall strength would undergo a qualitative leap. After a moment, the pill images dissipated, and the pills flew out of the pill cauldron. Because Song Luo and Chen Bin didn't know how to form pills, the quality of the pills they refined wasn't particularly good. The Violet Cloud Mansion Emperor pill that Song Luo refined could barely be considered a mid-tier Emperor pill. As for the Violet Cloud Mansion Emperor pill that Chen Bin refined, it only reached the level of pill formation. However, this wasn't the most important thing for the two of them. In their opinion, the most important thing was that the two of them could successfully refine the Violet Cloud Mansion Emperor Pill and advance to Alchemy Emperor. Thinking that his dream of advancing to Alchemy Emperor in these few decades had finally come true, Song Luo couldn't help but cry. After a while, when Song Luo looked at Emo Qingyun again, his eyes immediately surged with intense gratitude. He directly knelt to Emo Qingyun and said, "Teacher, please accept this disciple's bow." In Song Luo's opinion, although he and Emo Qingyun weren't master and disciple in name, they were master and disciple in reality. Song Luo was very clear in his heart that with Emo Qingyun's attainments in alchemy, he absolutely had the qualifications to be his teacher. Moreover, now, under Emo Qingyun's guidance, he had successfully advanced to a one-life alchemy emperor. Emo Qingyun was worthy of such a bow from him for the grace of imparting knowledge to him. "Teacher, please accept this disciple's bow." After seeing Song Luo's actions, Chun Bin and the others also hurriedly knelt, and one after another, they bowed to Emo Qingyun as a disciple. 3,000 great Daos, the one who reached the top was first. Although Emo Qingyun was younger than them, his attainments in alchemy weren't something they could compare to. "Everyone, there's no need to be so courteous. Please rise." Emo Qingyun did not find anything wrong with Chun Bin and the others' greetings. He smiled faintly and waved at them. From Emo Qingyun's point of view, whether it was his identity in his previous life or his teaching of Tao to Chun Bin and the others, he was qualified to receive everyone's worship. "Everyone, since my lecture has ended, I should leave the Fog Pool sect." Seeing Chun Bin and the others stand up, Mo Qingyun bid them farewell and said, "From now on, you can only work harder. Your alchemy skills will definitely improve quickly." With that, Emo Qingyun stood up and walked out of the square. He wanted to leave the Fog Pool sect. "Teacher, we'll send you off." Seeing that Emo Qingyun was about to leave, Chun Bin and the others hurriedly followed, wanting to send Emo Qingyun out of the Fog Pool sect. "Just let Song Luo and Chun Bin send him off. You guys can go back and cultivate in seclusion." In response to everyone's actions, Emo Qingyun smiled faintly and waved his hand. He turned around and walked out of the Fog Pool sect. Seeing Emo Qingyun's instructions, the elders of the Fog Pool sect did not insist and returned to their residences to cultivate in seclusion. "Sect Master Chen, before I leave, I want to warn you that if possible, it's best to move the sect away as soon as possible." When they arrived outside the Mist Pool sect's mountain gate, Emo Qingyun had a solemn expression on his face as he warned Chun Bin again. Emo Qingyun knew very well what kind of consequences would occur if a passage appeared between the demon path and the heavenly soul continent. Not to mention, Emo Qingyun had seen a heavenly demon with the strength of a demigod come to the heavenly soul continent from the demon path. From this, it could be seen just how far the passage between the heavenly soul continent and the demon path had spread. With the Fog Pool sect's strength, any heavenly demon with a high level of cultivation would be able to directly wipe out the Fog Pool sect. Therefore, Emo Qingyun's worries were very necessary. "This disciple will arrange this matter as soon as possible." Seeing Emo Qingyun repeatedly remind him of this, Chun Bin also began to take it seriously. This matter should be somewhat troublesome. Next, Emo Qingyun gave some instructions to the two of them before leaving the Fog Pool sect. After Emo Qingyun left the Fog Pool sect, Chun Bin announced an important piece of news that shocked all the disciples of the Fog Pool sect. Next, the sect would be closed for half a month. During this half a month, all the elders would have to enter seclusion. After hearing this news, the disciples of the Fog Pool sect were in an uproar as they guessed the reason for this situation. What do you think? Why are the sect master and the others all in seclusion? You don't even know this? Emo Qingyun gave the sect master and the others pointers in alchemy. It's said that the average elder's alchemy level has advanced. Not only that, the sect master and grand elder Song Luo, have already advanced to the level of Pill Emperor. Wow! Mo Qingyun is too amazing. If only he gave me some pointers. Also, he must be very lonely and empty outside by himself. I think he needs to find a woman to accompany him. Yes. Especially when he has so many younger brothers with him. How can he not have a woman to help him take care of them? Senior sisters, you are so dirty. I can't take it anymore. For a time, the disciples of the Fog Pool sect were in an uproar as they spread the news of Mo Qingyun's deeds. Mo Qingyun didn't know about the matters of the Fog Pool sect. After they left the Fog Pool sect, they went directly to the Qifeng Mountain. The Mingfeng mountain range wasn't far from the Qifeng mountain range. After rushing for a day, Mo Qingyun finally arrived at the Qifeng mountain range. The Qifeng mountain range, as the name implied, once had the divine beast Phoenix living here. Of course, this was only a rumor. As for whether this rumor was true or not, it was unknown. However, one thing was certain. On the Qifeng mountain range, there were indeed demonic beasts with phoenix blood flowing in their veins. As they walked into the Qifeng mountain range, Mo Qingyun felt that the surrounding air became hot. Under the impact of these heat waves, the scene in front of him began to shake like a reflection in water. Whoosh! A crisp bird cry was heard. A bird with two green tails circled in the air above Mo Qingyun. Phoenix blood green-tailed chicken. Seeing the bird in the air, Mo Qingyun's expression changed, and a trace of vigilance rose in his heart. The phoenix blood green-tailed chicken was a demonic beast with the phoenix bloodline on the Qifeng mountain. Moreover, it was a demonic beast that was relatively close to the phoenix. This phoenix blood green-tailed chicken's strength wasn't weak. It had already reached the 7th level of the supernatural power. If Mo Qingyun wanted to deal with it, he would have to put in some effort. Swoosh! At this moment, when Mo Qingyun was paying attention to the phoenix blood green-tailed chicken above his head, a golden arrow flashed by and shot towards the phoenix blood green-tailed chicken. Swoosh! With a flash of golden light, the golden arrow directly pierced into the phoenix blood green-tailed chicken's body. Seeing this scene, Mo Qingyun's expression changed. He was shocked and said, "Someone is on the Qifeng mountain range." Then, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and rushed towards the place where the arrow was shot. Chapter 938. The place where the golden arrow was shot was not close. When Mo Qingyun arrived, the person was no longer there. There were a few drops of blood on some withered leaves on the ground. There were also a few feathers of the phoenix blood green-tail chicken floating in the wind. From this, it could be seen that the person was here. However, he left before Mo Qingyun arrived. He left? Who could it be? Could it be a heavenly demon? Looking at the scene in front of him, Mo Qingyun's expression was slightly shocked. He was thinking about who came here. From Mo Qingyun's point of view, the desert in Qifeng Mountain was very close to the western mainland. The chances of a heavenly demon appearing were very high. Forget it, let's find the phoenix blood nirvana fruit first. After thinking hard for a while, Mo Qingyun did not think too much about it. He started to walk towards the depths of Qifeng Mountain. On the way to the depths of Qifeng Mountain, Mo Qingyun encountered many demonic beasts. These demonic beasts were not as strong as the phoenix blood green-tail chicken. Under Mo Qingyun's attack, they were either killed or scared off by Mo Qingyun. After walking for a while, a huge flaming mountain appeared in front of Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun looked around. At the top of the mountain, he saw a huge flaming cave. That was the nest of the ancient divine beast, the lava phoenix nest. Lava phoenix nest. Looking at the huge flaming mountain in front of him, Mo Qingyun's face revealed a brilliant smile. He could not wait any longer and quickly rushed towards the lava phoenix nest. Since the lava phoenix nest is here, then there should be phoenix blood nirvana fruit inside. As Mo Qingyun walked towards the lava phoenix nest, something that surprised them appeared. Along the way there were corpses of demonic beasts. Someone is walking in front of me. Could it be that he is also heading towards the lava phoenix nest? After realizing this, Emo Qingyun's expression turned serious. This was not good news for him. Then, the pace that Emo Qingyun had instructed him to quicken. Bang bang bang. Not long after, the sound of intense fighting entered Emo Qingyun's ears. It's right in front. Hearing the sound of fighting, Emo Qingyun's expression changed slightly, and he quickly rushed towards the sound of fighting. When Emo Qingyun saw the scene in front of him, his expression froze for a moment before he exclaimed, "It's her!" That's right. The person walking in front of Emo Qingyun was precisely Murong Qinyu, who had joined hands with him to fight against Blood Shadow. Who would have thought that after not seeing each other for a few days, they would actually meet again? It was truly a small world. It's you. After Murong Qinyu saw Emo Qingyun, her charming face revealed some surprise. Obviously, she was also very surprised to meet Emo Qingyun here. However, after a short moment of surprise, Murong Qingyu's expression turned cold. She said to Emo Qingyun, "I can deal with this multicolored phoenix blood crane. I don't need you to help me." With regards to Emo Qingyun getting close to her, Murong Qinyu seemed to be very resistant in her heart. She deliberately kept some distance from Emo Qingyun. "All right." Seeing Murong Qingyu's attitude, Emo Qingyun's mouth revealed a trace of a bitter smile as he helplessly shrugged his shoulders. Since Murong Qinyu had already said so, it was naturally not good for him to help. Of course, the multicolored phoenix blood crane in front of him was not strong. It only had the cultivation of divine power level 5. With Murong Qingyu's strength, she could completely deal with it. Therefore, Emo Qingyun was not worried. Following which, Emo Qingyun did not continue to stay. He got up and walked towards the interior of the lava phoenix nest. The temperature inside the lava phoenix nest was extremely high. Just as Emo Qingyun walked in, he felt an astonishing heat wave rushing towards him. Domain Gate. Seeing this, Emo Qingyun immediately used the domain gate to resist the incoming heat wave. As the domain gate was used, a small domain formed around Emo Qingyun, blocking the incoming heat wave outside. Without the interference of the heat wave, Emo Qingyun went deeper into the lava phoenix nest and began to search for the phoenix blood nirvana fruit. The lava phoenix nest was very large. At first glance it looked like a huge bottomless pit. As Emo Qingyun continued to dive deeper, he saw ancient caves on the walls of the lava phoenix nest. These caves seemed to be the nests of phoenixes in the past. However, it had been a long time since a phoenix had lived here. With regards to these caves, Emo Qingyun did not explore them. Instead, he directly flew towards the bottom of the lava phoenix nest. After about a quarter of an hour, Emo Qingyun finally arrived at the bottom of the lava phoenix nest. He stood on a rock at the bottom of the lava phoenix nest. Below these rocks was a large expanse of red lava. It was churning like boiling water, constantly emitting terrifying heat waves. Sensing the terrifying heat within the lava, Emo Qingyun couldn't help but tremble. He was certain that even if a powerhouse at the pinnacle of the transcendent realm fell into this lava, they would still have a slim chance of survival. This lava phoenix nest had not been inhabited by a phoenix for hundreds of thousands of years. Who knew how much of the heat waves within the lava had dissipated, but the heat within was still enough to threaten a powerhouse at the pinnacle of the transcendent realm. One could only imagine how terrifying the heat in the lava was when the divine beast, Phoenix, resided here. As expected of an ancient divine beast Phoenix, just the heat from the flames on its body would probably be able to easily burn a sovereign to death. Scanning the surroundings, Emo Qingyun couldn't help but sigh in his heart. With a puzzled expression, he said, "But if the ancient divine beast Phoenix was so powerful, why did it disappear from the Heavenly Soul continent? Did the Heavenly Soul continent experience it?" After pondering for a moment, Emo Chinyan shook his head and stopped thinking about it. He was very clear that this matter wasn't something that he could figure out at the moment. Perhaps there would be a better answer to some unknown questions on the desolate continent. That is? Scanning the surroundings of the lava phoenix nest, Emo Chingyun's eyes were attracted by a peculiar-looking spirit plant. On the spirit plant there were a few green leaves that resembled the tail of a phoenix. In the middle of these green leaves was a red fruit that resembled a phoenix. The phoenix blood nirvana fruit. It really is the phoenix blood nirvana fruit. Looking at the fruit on the spirit plant, Emo Chingyun's expression instantly became excited. His figure moved and flew towards the phoenix blood nirvana fruit. In next to no time, Emo Chingyun arrived at the side of the phoenix blood nirvana fruit and raised his hand with the intention of plucking it. The phoenix blood nirvana fruit. At this moment, just as Emo Chingyun was about to pluck the phoenix blood nirvana fruit, a pleasantly surprised voice sounded in Emo Chingyun's ears. "Stop!" After these words, the person's tone turned cold as she berated Emo Chingyun. At the same time, she slashed her sword at Emo Chingyun without any hesitation, preventing Emo Chingyun from plucking the phoenix blood nirvana fruit. Demonic shadow traceless, following the body like a shadow. Faced with this person's sword, Emo Chingyun's figure moved and swiftly dodged her sword. Chapter 939. Seeing Emo Chingyun's action, the other party's pretty face immediately became angry. She raised her hand and pointed at Emo Chingyun, unable to say anything. She did not expect that Emo Chingyun would be so straightforward and directly take the phoenix blood nirvana fruit away. Looking at the beautiful figure in front of him, Emo Chingyun revealed a trace of apology. He put away the phoenix blood nirvana fruit and said, "Miss Murong, I'm very sorry. This Snow Peak Nirvana fruit is very important to me." That's right, the person who was competing with Emo Chingyun for the Phoenix Blood Nirvana fruit was Murong Chinyu, who had killed the multicolored Phoenix Blood Crane before. This Phoenix Blood Nirvana fruit is also very important to me. What do you want in order to give it to me? Tell me your conditions. With regards to Emo Chingyun's apology, Murong Chinyu directly chose to ignore it. She still spoke with an indifferent tone. "Sorry, I can't give it to you." Seeing Murong Chingyu's action, Emo Chingyun shook his head with a bitter smile. He directly rejected Murong Chingyu's suggestion and said, "The space of this lava phoenix nest is very big. Let's continue to search. Perhaps we can find a second phoenix blood nirvana fruit." "No need. My body is very sensitive to phoenix blood. Right now, I can no longer sense the existence of phoenix blood. This means that the phoenix blood nirvana fruit is no longer here." With regards to Emo Chingyun's suggestion, Murong Chinyu directly rejected it. She revealed an unwilling expression and said, "I'll ask again. Are you willing to exchange the phoenix blood nirvana fruit with me or not?" "I'm very sorry. This phoenix blood nirvana fruit is very important to me. I can't give it to you." With regards to Murong Chingyu's words, Emo Chingyun revealed a firm expression and once again rejected Murong Chingyu's request. Seeing Emo Chingyun's performance, Murong Chingyu's charming face immediately became angry. She raised the long sword in her hand and pointed it at Emo Chingyun. She said, "Since it's like this, then don't blame me." Devil Phoenix Sword Technique, Devil Cloud Chop. Under Murong Chingyu's brandishing of the black long sword, an astonishing black essence power suddenly emerged, transforming into a dark cloud. After these dark clouds were formed, they danced in the air and blasted towards Emo Chingyun from different directions. In the blink of an eye, Emo Chingyun's path was blocked, and the surrounding light became dim. Seeing this, Emo Chingyun's expression turned serious. With a flick of his wrist, the colorless sword appeared in his hand. "Excuse me." After Emo Chingyun took out the colorless sword, he activated the 5 origins of metal, wood, water, fire and earth and slashed at a dark cloud in front of him. 5 essences as one. Emo Chingyun slashed out with his sword, and a dazzling 5-colored sword ray blasted toward the dark cloud with unstoppable force. Pucci! Facing the bombardment of the 5-colored sword ray, the dark cloud didn't have the slightest resistance and was directly crushed by the 5-colored sword ray. After defeating the 5-colored sword ray, Emo Qingyun didn't want to stay any longer. His figure moved and flew out of the lava phoenix nest. Don't go! Seeing that Emo Qingyun was about to leave, Murong Qingyu's beautiful face changed. She angrily followed behind Emo Qingyun. Following behind Emo Qingyun, Murong Qingyu's hands didn't stop moving. He continued to slash out sword rays at Emo Qingyun. The devil shadow traceless, like a shadow following the body. Emo Qingyun didn't block the sword rays slashed out by Murong Qingyu. He just kept moving his body and dodged the sword rays with extreme speed. Emo Qingyun had an indescribable strange feeling towards Murong Qingyu. He always felt that there was some hidden connection between Murong Qingyu and Long Hanyan. Therefore, unless it was a last resort, he didn't want to hurt Murong Qingyu. Next, Emo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu, one chasing and one escaping, arrived outside the lava phoenix nest. But even so, Murong Qingyu still didn't give up. He followed closely behind Emo Qingyun and didn't give up. Xiao at this moment, when Murong Qingyu was chasing after Emo Qingyun, a loud and clear sound of a bird's cry entered their ears. Then, a terrifying blood qi fluctuation came from a canyon in the Qifeng mountain range. After this blood qi fluctuation came out, a huge flaming bird shadow flew out from the bottom of the canyon. It emitted an astonishing aura and majesty. This was the shadow of the divine beast phoenix. What an astonishing aura and majesty! Just the aura and majesty of the phoenix shadow made my heart palpitate. Looking at the phoenix shadow that flew out from the canyon, Emo Qingyun was startled. He quickly urged the heavenly demon soul clan bloodline in his body to resist the aura and majesty of the phoenix shadow. Borrowing the power of the heavenly demon soul clan bloodline in his body to offset the aura and majesty of the phoenix shadow, Emo Qingyun couldn't help but sigh and said, "Just the phoenix shadow condensed from some phoenix blood can emit such a terrifying aura and majesty. I wonder how terrifying the aura and majesty of the divine beast phoenix will be." Phoenix blood. While Emo Qingyun was sighing in his heart, Murong Qingyu's expression changed. His expression became somewhat excited. Then, Murong Qingyu gave up on chasing Emo Qingyun. His figure moved and flew towards the canyon containing phoenix blood. Seeing Murong Qingyu's action, Emo Qingyun slightly frowned. He was somewhat worried about her and followed him towards the canyon containing phoenix blood. After a while, Emo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu arrived at the Phoenix Blood Canyon. At the bottom of the canyon there was a huge blood pool. There were many strange runes around the blood pool. These runes emitted an astonishing power and were currently refining the blood within the blood pool. Under the refinement of the runes, the phoenix blood contained within the blood was unceasingly stimulated, providing energy to the phoenix shadow in the sky. In the surroundings of the blood pool, there were many corpses of bird-type demonic beasts. These bird-type demonic beasts were all powerful existences that contained phoenix blood. Phoenix blood azure-tail chicken, multicolored phoenix blood crane, rainbow-winged phoenix blood eagle. Under Emo Qingyun's gaze, the origins of these bird-type demonic beasts were immediately recognized by him. However, what truly shocked Emo Qingyun was that these bird-type demonic beasts that contained phoenix blood were all killed by a golden arrow. After discovering this, Emo Qingyun's heart couldn't help but tremble. He secretly guessed, could it be that this blood pool that is used to refine phoenix blood was set up by the person who killed the phoenix blood azure-tail chicken? After thinking like this, Emo Qingyun's expression unconsciously became solemn. A faint feeling of uneasiness rose in his heart. In his opinion, the matter wasn't so simple. However, as to what exactly wasn't simple, Emo Qingyun couldn't say for a moment. In short, at this moment, there was an indescribable feeling of uneasiness in his heart. Immediately after, Emo Qingyun carefully looked at the runes outside the blood pool. He wanted to see through this formation. After examining for a while, Emo Qingyun's expression shook. He recognized the origin of this formation and exclaimed, This is the Blood Fiend Phoenix trapping formation. Chapter 940. Phoenix Blood. It's really Phoenix Blood. Seeing the blood pool that contained a huge amount of Phoenix blood, Murong Qingyu's expression changed and became excited. Then, Murong Qingyu no longer thought about it and immediately flew towards the direction of the blood pool. Shit! Seeing Murong Qingyu's action, Emo Qingyun's heart skipped a beat. That bad feeling became even stronger. Then, Emo Qingyun didn't have time to think too much. He followed behind Murong Qingyu and rushed towards the blood pool. Miss Murong, be careful. When Emo Qingyun chased after Murong Qingyu, he revealed a nervous expression and quickly reminded Murong Qingyu loudly. However, the thing that made Emo Qingyun feel helpless was that not only did Murong Qingyu not appreciate his reminder in the slightest, he even looked at him with hatred and said, Emo Qingyun, you just snatched my Phoenix Blood Nirvana fruit. Could it be that you want to fight over the Phoenix Blood with me now? After saying that, Murong Qingyu's body turned into an afterimage. With a few flashes, she rushed into the vicinity of the blood pool and entered the Blood Fiend Phoenix imprisoning formation. Shit! Seeing Murong Qingyu's action, Emo Qingyun's expression suddenly changed and he also rushed into the Blood Fiend Phoenix imprisoning formation. Chi. After Murong Qingyu rushed into the Blood Fiend Phoenix imprisoning formation, her complexion clearly paled and the blood in her body was forcibly extracted. After such a situation occurred, Murong Qingyu's expression suddenly changed. She finally realized the seriousness of the matter. At this moment, she also finally understood that Emo Qingyun's action just now was not to fight with her for the Phoenix blood, but because he was really worried about her safety. Right now, when Murong Qingyu's panicked blood was forcibly extracted, an even more panicked scene occurred. She discovered that, under the suppression of the formation, she didn't even have the strength to stand up. After such a situation occurred, Murong Qingyu's body became weak, and she began to fall towards the ground. Miss Murong, are you alright? Seeing Murong Qingyu's body become weak, Emo Qingyun's expression suddenly changed and he quickly helped Murong Qingyu up. Domain Gate. After supporting Murong Qingyu, Emo Qingyun did not hesitate to use the Domain Gate to help Murong Qingyu offset the suppression of the Blood Evil Phoenix trapping formation. As the Domain Gate resisted the suppression of the formation, Murong Qingyu's complexion improved a bit, and his strength gradually recovered. Looking at herself nestled in Emo Qingyun's arms, Murong Qingyu's pretty face blushed, revealing a rare shy expression. At the same time, what made Murong Qingyu even more shocked was that when she snuggled up in Emo Qingyun's embrace, she actually had a kind of intoxicated and familiar feeling. This strange feeling appeared. Murong Qingyu's pretty face became even redder. She was extremely shy. Soon, Murong Qingyu broke free from Emo Qingyun's embrace. She shyly looked at Emo Qingyun. Her eyes revealed some confusion. She realized that after she broke free from Emo Qingyun's embrace, she actually felt a sense of loss. Could it be that her original intention was to snuggle into Emo Qingyun's embrace? How can this be? Why do I have this kind of feeling towards him? Murong Qingyu was very puzzled. The current situation was really too abnormal for her. This kind of feeling made her both vexed and shy. In addition, there was also some kind of expectation. Emo Qingyun naturally didn't know about Murong Qingyu's thoughts. He was only surprised by the formidability of the Blood Evil Phoenix trapping formation. He exclaimed, "The Blood Evil Phoenix trapping formation is actually so powerful. It actually has such a terrifying suppression towards the race that contains the Phoenix blood." At present, when Emo Qingyun's face revealed shock, the figure of a black-robed old man flashed and appeared in front of the two of them. Blood evil demigod! It's him! Seeing the black-robed old man in front of them, Emo Qingyun and Murong Qinyu both revealed shock. They were somewhat surprised by the other party's appearance. This black-robed old man was the demigod of the heavenly demon clan that flew over Emo Qingyun's head not far from Mingfeng mountain range. Saintess Qinyu, Demon Sun Wushan misses you very much. He sent this old man to invite Saintess back. Glancing at Murong Qinyu in front of him, the blood evil demigod revealed a cold smile. He respectfully saluted Murong Qinyu and said, Saintess Qinyu, if you are willing to return with this old man can help you slaughter all the demon beasts that contain the phoenix blood in the entire mountain range and help you raise the dark demon phoenix Saint Physique to the small success level. You want me to serve Wushan? That's absolutely impossible. Hearing the words of the blood evil demigod, Murong Qingyu's charming face turned cold. She revealed a resolute expression and said, Now that I have fallen into your hands, if you want to kill me, then kill me. No need to speak so much nonsense. Saintess, since you are not willing to cooperate, this old man can only offend you. Seeing Murong Qingyu's action, the blood evil demigod's expression turned cold and his hands quickly formed a seal. Under the blood evil demigod's action, a shocking bloody light erupted from his hands and released an astonishing aura. From the beginning until now, the blood evil demigod had never looked at Emo Qingyun. It was as if he was treating Emo Qingyun as heir. Inherited martial skill, Flame Demon's blood-soaked phoenix capturing hand? Seeing the blood evil demigod's action, Emo Qingyun's expression immediately became startled and he spoke in astonishment. This brat has some knowledge. He actually knows the Flame Demon's blood-soaked phoenix capturing hand. Under Emo Qingyun's astonished words, the blood evil demigod was bewildered. He couldn't help but take another glance at Emo Qingyun. Of course, it was only taking another glance at Emo Qingyun. He still didn't put Emo Qingyun in his eyes. Transfer gate. Seeing the blood evil demigod's action, Emo Qingyun didn't dare to hesitate in the slightest. He immediately used his martial spirit's ability, Transfer Gate. Let's go. Looking at the rapidly condensing teleportation whirlpool in front of them, Emo Qingyun directly pulled Murong Qingyu's hand and brought her into the teleportation whirlpool. Seeing Emo Qingyun's action, Murong Qingyu's expression slightly changed and her mind became somewhat blank. At this moment, there seemed to be some additional memories in her mind. However, they were very vague and she was unable to remember them. However, there was one thing that she was certain of. These memories seemed to be related to Emo Qingyun. After this discovery, Murong Qinyu became even more puzzled. She couldn't help but become more curious about Emo Qingyun. Shwa. The transfer gate disappeared and Emo Qingyun and Murong Qinyu left the blood evil phoenix imprisoning formation together. They escaped? Seeing Emo Qingyun and Murong Qinyu disappear before his eyes, the blood evil demigod was shocked. He didn't dare to believe that this was real. He didn't expect that a brat that he didn't take seriously would actually have such an astonishing method. This brat actually has such a method. This old man has actually underestimated you. After saying these words of surprise, the blood evil demigod's expression became somewhat gloomy. He coldly said, however, the aura of the blood evil phoenix imprisoning formation remains on Saintess Qingyu's body. You won't be able to escape. Blood evil tracking. The blood evil demigod formed a hand seal and condensed a strange blood sword. It emitted a dazzling blood light and quickly chased in a direction. Seeing the direction the blood sword flew in, the blood evil demigod didn't hesitate and quickly followed. Chapter 941. Shwa. A crack appeared in the space. Two figures walked out from it. They were Emo Qingyun and Murong Qinyu. Coming out from the crack in space, Murong Qinyu revealed a shocked expression. She looked at Emo Qinyun in disbelief. Teleport. Emo Qinyun actually knew how to teleport. This scene really shocked her quite a bit. Murong Qinyu was extremely shocked. She didn't even feel that her hand was being pulled by Emo Qinyun. Let's go. Looking at Murong Qinyu, who was stunned, Emo Qinyun faintly smiled at her. He pulled her hand and walked forward. Emo Qinyun took a step forward. Only then did he suddenly remember that he was still holding Murong Qinyu's delicate hand. I'm sorry. Because the situation was too sudden, I forgot to let go of your hand. Looking at his own action, Emo Qinyun awkwardly smiled and let go of Murong Qinyu's hand. When Murong Qinyu heard Emo Qinyun's words, she suddenly realized that her hand had been pulled by Emo Qinyun since a moment ago. Suddenly, a strong sense of shyness grew in Murong Qinyu's heart. Her beautiful face couldn't help but turn red. It was incomparably attractive. Just now, the situation was urgent. Could it be that the situation is also urgent now? Lecture. Murong Qinyu's face revealed an unhappy expression. She fiercely glared at Emo Qinyun. Then she lifted her foot and walked forward. She no longer paid attention to Emo Qinyun, who was smiling bitterly. Looking at Murong Qinyu, who walked in front of him, Emo Qinyun helplessly smiled. He shrugged his shoulders and didn't say anything. Sometimes women were like this. They could change their faces like flipping a book. You would never know what she was thinking. As a matter of fact, when Emo Qinyun was secretly depressed, Murong Qinyu suddenly turned around and angrily said to Emo Qinyun, "What are you still standing there for? Let's go." After saying this, Murong Qinyu immediately realized that something was wrong. Why did she call Emo Qinyun? What's wrong with me? Why would I ask him to come along? Confusion arose in Murong Qinyu's heart. Then, she had a guilty conscience and didn't dare to say another word to Emo Qinyun. Not only that, after that, Murong Qinyu deliberately pulled apart some distance from Emo Qinyun to express that he did not want to pay attention to Emo Qinyun. Seeing Murong Qinyu's action, Emo Qinyun was even more speechless. He didn't know what to say. Women, their thoughts were always hard to read. Next, because of Murong Qinyu's guilty conscience, she was embarrassed to take the initiative to talk to Emo Qinyun. Therefore, in the following journey, Murong Qinyu didn't speak. As for Emo Qinyun, because he couldn't figure out Murong Qinyu's thoughts, he didn't take the initiative to talk to Murong Qinyu. In this way, both of them chose to remain silent. No one was the first to break the silence, causing the atmosphere to become slightly awkward. This guy actually ignored me for half a day. Murong Qinyu, who was walking in front, saw that Emo Qinyun didn't talk to her for half a day. Dissatisfaction arose in her heart. However, after this emotion appeared, Murong Qinyu's heart was at a loss again. A strong feeling of confusion arose in her heart. Why should I let him talk to me? If he doesn't talk to me, wouldn't I be more at ease? At this moment, Murong Qinyu's heart was in a mess. She didn't know what she wanted to do. Saintus Qinyu, boy, you can't escape. At this moment, when Murong Qinyu's heart was in a mess, a gloomy voice entered Emo Qinyun's and Murong Qinyu's ears. Not good, Shuesha demigod has caught up. After hearing this voice, Emo Qinyun's and Murong Qinyu's expressions changed greatly. A strong feeling of unease arose in their hearts. Let's go. Seeing this, Emo Qinyun no longer hesitated. His figure moved, grabbed Murong Qinyu's waist, and ran with her at extreme speed. Untraceable demonic shadow followed like a shadow. At this moment, Emo Qinyun activated untraceable demonic shadow to the extreme. 8 afterimages constantly flashed behind him. Every time they flashed, Emo Qinyun and Murong Qinyu would travel a great distance, pulling apart the distance between them and Shuesha demigod. What an exquisite martial art! Just what is the background of this boy? Seeing Emo Qinyun's ghost-like speed, Shuesha demigod revealed a shocked expression. His eyes revealed a trace of greed as he said, "If this old man obtains this movement martial art, this old man's strength will definitely double. At that time, I will even be able to fight against a supreme being expert. Boy, this old man wants to see how long you can last. Activating this movement martial art must consume a lot of energy, right?" Seeing Emo Qinyun running ahead, Shueisha demigod revealed a complacent sneer. His expression revealed a playful expression. In his opinion, with Emo Qinyun's Heavenly Dipper 9th stage cultivation, he definitely wouldn't be able to last long while activating such a powerful movement martial art. Once Emo Qinyun's energy was exhausted, Emo Qinyun and Murong Qinyu would be at his mercy. Therefore, Shueisha demigod wasn't in a hurry to catch up to Emo Qinyun and Murong Qinyu. Instead, he revealed a playful smile and unhurriedly followed behind. Hearing Shueisha demigod's words, Murong Qinyu's expression changed slightly. His gaze was complicated as he looked at Emo Qinyun and said, "Put me down. With the speed of your movement martial art, Shueisha demigod definitely won't be able to catch up to you. I won't leave you behind. Don't speak, I will definitely bring you away." Hearing Murong Qinyu's words, Emo Qinyun revealed a resolute expression as he continued to run with Murong Qinyu. However, as time passed, the distance between them and Shueisha demigod was indeed shrinking bit by bit. If nothing unexpected happened, it wouldn't be long before Shueisha demigod caught up to the two of them. Thinking that Shueisha demigod would catch up to the two of them and that he would implicate Emo Qinyun and die, Murong Qinyu couldn't help but feel a burst of heartache. "No, I can't implicate Emo Qinyun. I can't let him die because of me." Very quickly, Murong Qinyu made a decision in his heart. He pretended to be angry as he angrily said to Emo Qinyun, "Emo Qinyun, quickly put me down. I don't need you to save me. Who are you to me, Emo Qinyun? Why should I need you to save me?" At this moment, Murong Qinyu's pestering was displayed to the extreme. He wanted to use this to anger Emo Qinyun and make Emo Qinyun abandon him, allowing Emo Qinyun to safely escape. However, Emo Qinyun's following actions caused Murong Qinyu to be in a daze. An indescribable sweetness rose in his heart. "You shut up. Your life was saved by me earlier. Right now, it belongs to me. I said I won't leave you behind, so I will never leave you behind." Hearing Murong Qinyu's words, Emo Qinyun's expression became solemn and he directly berated her. With Emo Qinyun's experience, he could naturally see that Murong Qinyu's actions earlier were completely for him to leave by himself. It was absolutely not to pester endlessly. Chapter 942. Seeing Murong Qinyu's expression, Emo Qinyun was immediately dumbfounded. He didn't know what to do. Let him fight with others, refine pills, and so on. But let him coax a woman, he was stumped. "This. Miss Murong, don't cry. Just now, I didn't mean to yell at you. Emo Qinyun bitterly smiled. A burst of depression rose in his heart. His mind was in a mess. Let him coax a woman not to cry? He really wasn't good at it. He simply didn't have any experience in this area. He really couldn't figure out why a woman like Murong Qinyu would have a time when she would cry. "Idiot, I didn't say I was angry with you." Seeing Emo Qinyun's action, Murong Qinyu couldn't help but smile sweetly. She looked at Emo Qinyun with a strange expression and said coquettishly, "Don't talk to me anymore. Quickly, focus on escaping with me. Otherwise, if we are caught by the blood fiend demigod, I won't forgive you." Seeing Murong Qinyu's action, Emo Qinyun suddenly felt depressed. He once again sighed that women were fickle. Murong Qinyu, who was still crying a second ago, in a blink of an eye, she stopped crying and smiled. However, seeing that Murong Qinyu was no longer crying, Emo Qinyun also let out a sigh of relief. Next, Emo Qinyun revealed a serious and firm expression. He brought Murong Qinyu and madly ran forward. Looking at Emo Qingyun, who was close at hand, Murong Qingyu's eyes couldn't help but be somewhat infatuated. A strange feeling rose in her heart. That feeling was like excitement, like joy, like intimacy, like being moved. In short, it was a very complicated feeling. But it was this kind of feeling that made Murong Qinyu intoxicated and unable to extricate herself. At this moment, although the distance between them and the blood-fiend demigod was getting closer and closer, in Murong Qingyu's heart, she wasn't worried at all. At this moment, the only thought in her heart was to unhesitatingly believe in Emo Qingyun. "You'll definitely take me away, right?" Looking at Emo Qingyun in front of him, Murong Qinyu silently thought. An intense sweetness rose in his heart and a sweet smile appeared on his face. Then, Murong Qingyu's body unconsciously leaned closer to Emo Qingyun. His head gently rested on Emo Qingyun's shoulder and his hands embraced Emo Qingyun's waist. Sensing Murong Qingyu's small action, Emo Qingyun's expression was slightly startled. He was somewhat surprised by Murong Qingyu's action. Her little action was discovered by Emo Qingyun. Murong Qingyu's face revealed an unruly expression. Pretending to be fierce, she glared at Emo Qingyun and said, "What are you looking at? I'm afraid that you'll run too fast and accidentally throw me off. Don't worry, I will never leave you behind." Hearing Murong Qingyu's words, Emo Qingyun did not even think and answered without hesitation. "Don't be distracted. If we run faster, the blood-fiend demigod will catch up." Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Murong Qinyu sweetly smiled and gently whispered into Emo Qingyun's ear. At this moment, after Murong Qinyu said those words, Emo Qingyun's expression suddenly changed greatly. There was no road ahead. At this moment, there was only a narrow canyon in front of the two of them. Not only that, within this narrow canyon, there were many imposing black and white symbols flickering. Obviously, this canyon was not a good place. If it wasn't a dangerous place, then it must be a place with a terrifying formation. The degree of danger was not the slightest bit lower than the blood-fiend demigod. Emo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu's current situation could be said to be a fierce tiger in front and a hungry wolf behind. This is really troublesome. Looking at the formation canyon in front of them, Emo Qingyun stopped and a bad feeling arose in his heart. Seeing the formation canyon in front of them, the blood-fiend demigod immediately revealed a complacent expression. He looked at Murong Qinyu and laughed. "Haha, Saintess Qinyu, let's see where you'll escape to this time." The blood-fiend demigod laughed complacently and stopped chasing. Step by step, he approached Emo Qingyun and Murong Qinyu. From the blood-fiend demigod's point of view, unless Emo Qingyun and Murong Qinyu weren't afraid of death and charged into the formation canyon, the two of them were like turtles in a jar. Looking at the blood-fiend demigod that was constantly approaching, Emo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu's expressions became grave. "Lady Murong, you go first. I'll delay him for a moment." Looking at the blood-fiend demigod that was constantly approaching, Emo Qingyun revealed a solemn expression and instructed Murong Qinyu, who was beside him. After hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Murong Qinyu was moved. The corners of her eyes reddened as she looked at Emo Qingyun and asked, "Emo Qingyun, didn't you just say that you'll never leave me behind? Are you going to break your promise now?" Hearing Murong Qingyu's words, Emo Qingyun's expression slightly changed. He quickly understood Murong Qingyu's thoughts and solemnly said, "Okay, let's face the blood-fiend demigod together." "Okay." Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Murong Qinyu sweetly smiled. She raised her hand and held onto Emo Qingyun's hand. Seeing Murong Qingyu's action, Emo Qingyun was slightly taken aback. Immediately after, he gave Murong Qinyu a knowing smile. Nothing needed to be said. After holding onto Murong Qingyu's hand, Emo Qingyun raised his hand and shook it. He took out talisman after talisman that was flickering with light. After taking out the talisman, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate to activate the talisman and send it towards the blood fiend demigod. Talisman? Seeing Mo Qingyun's attack, the blood fiend demigod's expression slightly changed. He revealed an astonished expression and disdainfully said, "Just these 6 and 7 seal talismans are not enough to threaten me. Break for me." Immediately after, the blood fiend demigod's face sank. He raised his hand and sent a powerful attack towards the talisman. Bang! 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 Under the blood fiend demigod's attack, the talismans that were attacking him were instantly destroyed. "Let's go, we'll enter the Array Canyon." When the blood fiend demigod attacked the talismans, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate to bring Murong Qinyu and charged into the Array Canyon. Mo Qingyun was very clear in his heart that with his current strength, it was impossible for him to bring Murong Qinyu and escape from the blood fiend demigod's hands. Since there was only a slim chance of survival in the hands of the blood fiend demigod, he might as well bring Murong Qinyu and charge into the Array Canyon. This way they would be able to fight for a slim chance of survival. This was a gamble with huge stakes. If they were not careful, they might lose forever. Of course, the reason why Mo Qingyun dared to do this was mainly because he had the 5-directional pagoda. He believed that with the might of the 5-directional pagoda, it should be able to withstand the impact of the array runes. Yu Tu, seeing Mo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu's actions, the blood fiend demigod's face was instantly filled with shock. He never thought that Mo Qingyun and Murong Qinyu would do such a thing. Subsequently, Mo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu's figures disappeared before his eyes as they entered the Array Canyon. Humph! There are no other exits in this canyon. This old man will guard this place. I want to see if you two can come out or not. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.